That's called Start Again.
Start again. About 25 seconds.
That was fun.
They never even got going. Hey, that's the Life of Live Radio, boy.
Yeah, that was live, all right.
Does that mean Dad's hearing aid going off in the background?
I don't know what there was. I don't know what it was.
All right, Marty.
But
See you
thanks,
tomorrow
Craig.
morning,
Cheers.
buddy. All right, thanks very much indeed. It is the 9 till noon show. Let's get a news update at 9 first, though, and cross over to Katie Gillen. Good morning, Katie.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A post-mortem will be carried out on the body of the teenage boy who was killed during a violent incident in North Dublin. The 17-year-old, who it's believed was from Ukraine, had been staying at a Tusa care facility in Donamead. Another teenage boy was also injured, while a care worker was hurt when she tried to intervene. Crime editor with the Irish Times, Conor Lally, says the facility houses international protection applicants.
Obviously, a dispute has occurred, and this poor, unfortunate boy is obviously dead. So we understand that he had suffered really serious injuries. Certainly some of the Gardaí that I spoke to yesterday said the scene was really difficult. And obviously that inquiry now is underway. There's a person arrested, and the Gardaí are hoping to make, very quick progress on that today.
A Letterkenny councillor has called for yellow boxes to be added to Knocknamona roundabout on the Kilmacrennan Road. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says the size of the roundabout is unable to cope with the volume of traffic using it, particularly at peak times. Long-term plans include the signalisation of the roundabout. Councillor McMonigal says interim measures are needed.
Roundabouts are supposed to be put there to facilitate the movement of traffic, but unfortunately what's happening because of the volume we have, people are driving on the roundabout, completely blocking it, and nobody can get away. And that causes problems right across this town. So I was asking that we would consider, until such times as we signalise that roundabout, we put yellow boxes in, and we ask motorists to obey the yellow box.
Former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern says he's supporting Heather Humphrey's presidential campaign. The former Fianna Fáil leader had hoped to run for the party in the presidential election, but was not nominated by the leadership. Catherine Connolly is ahead by 18 points according to an Ipsos BNA poll in the Irish Times this morning. Bertie Ahern says he's backing the Fine Gael candidate for the Oris.
I just think Heather is a very fine person, and the fact that I know her so well, and when I've worked with her for 15 years, always found her to be, even though I was no longer in the Dáil, I found her a person that would handle things, really good reconciliation, spirit to try and bring things together. And I've seen that firsthand because I've been involved in these things now for 15 years across the border counties where she was minister.
Meanwhile, an extra 60,000 people have joined the electoral register ahead of next week's presidential election. Figures from Commission Tóchán, Ireland's independent electoral commission, also show a further 30,000 people have updated or amended their details. It follows voter registration drives at Electric Picnic, the National Ploughing Championships, other public events and third-level campuses. And now for the weather. It will be mainly dry but mostly cloudy today with just a few limited bright or sunny spells. There will just be a few isolated patches of drizzle and mist with highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. That's all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back with another update and the obituary notices at 10 o'clock.
Smart plan, big savings when you switch to 3. Get iPhone 16e at no upfront cost. Now from just €40 per month. Hurry, offer ends soon. From €40 a month for 24 months, €47 a month thereafter. Annual price increase of €3 and direct debit apply on 3 select Essentials 5G plan. See 3.ie.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. 4 minutes past 9, 16th of October 2025. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show this Thursday. How are you all keeping? I hope you're very well. And we're looking forward to having you on board for the next 3 hours. We've got lots coming up throughout the course of the 3 hours. If you don't normally listen to the programme, we keep you up to date with everything that's happening locally here, focused on the Northwest. We talk about stuff they're not going to be talking about down in Dublin. Don't worry about that. But we also keep you up to date with what's happening around the country and beyond, with lots and lots of guests joining us throughout the course of the morning. Of course, too, we're able to focus on issues that are important to you, be it a local organisation, a local group, whatever it might be. We'll have an interview or two along those lines coming up over the course of the next 3 hours. And also, it's your opportunity to get your point of view out there. You know, we live in a democracy, and you've got your own local radio station and your own show dedicated to you. So you can get involved, join the conversation, start the conversation. And this is the number. It might be very familiar to you. Maybe you've never used it before, though. Use it for the first time today. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Just send your comments in to us, or indeed your requests. We play some requests after 10 o'clock as well, by the way. So if you've got someone in your life celebrating something special, get in touch with us in that regard as well. We're happy to do that for you. You can also give us a call in 07491 25,000. Caroline O is taking your calls today. And if you want to email, it's comments@highlandradio.com. And we enjoy a load of loyal listeners as well that listen to the podcast, or indeed those that work nights or struggle to get to sleep. They listen overnight. You're very important to us as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. And your comments are very welcome as well to 086 60 25,000. We can pick them up for the next live show, or email comments@highlandradio.com. The front of the Donegal news this morning is gridlock. It's traffic. Work on an active travel project on one of Letterkenny's busiest roads, which will see the installation of new cycle paths and pavements, but at the expense of removing turning lanes for vehicles, could take between, wait for it, 9 and 12 months to complete. Traffic came to a standstill for long periods this week on the section between the roundabout at Letterkenny University Hospital and the Knocknamona roundabout on the R291 Kilmacrennan Road. This prompted considerable reaction from motorists, and concern has been expressed that emergency service vehicles could be restricted from getting through to Letterkenny University Hospital. So there's more on the front of and inside the paper on that story as well. The Tyrconnell Tribune has space for the traffic delays, but their main story is numbers of councillors have expressed serious concern over the council's plan to seek a 5% increase in commercial rates for 2026. Councillors say they've been told there is a gap of €20 million to be bridged in the revenue budget for next year. The issue is out there for discussion, and it's suggested that targeting small enterprises to pay more when they are generating less income is the wrong way to go, and it is simply unacceptable. Councillors contacted by the Tribune said there is no way SMEs can be asked for another 5% on rates in a year that's been challenging for many to keep their premises open. Some have cut staffing levels, and others are working reduced hours to manage what they claim is a real crisis. Now, this is your platform. Are you a small and medium enterprise in Donegal? How could you face or absorb a 5% rates increase? If you want to, get your voice and get your message out there now as the decision is being made. Let us know. Maybe it could be the difference between you being in business or out of business, or maybe it could be the difference between you employing 12 people or 10. Give us a sense of what a 5% rates increase might mean to your business wherever you are across County Donegal. 086 60 25,000. The Derry News, it has been a complete headache. A Derry businesswoman has spoken about the absolute stress she has experienced due to the ongoing closure of Pump Street in the city centre's Cathedral Quarter. It's been a complete headache, said Michelle Brace, owner of the Blonde Lane Hair Salon. I had to cancel clients' appointments all last week because we were repeatedly told our electricity was going to be off all day, only to discover that wasn't the case, and it actually remained on. Pump Street has been cordoned off to prevent vehicular access since the partial collapse of the derelict former Convent of Mercy building on Sunday, October 5th. Very disruptive to business. Talking about disruptions to business. On to the Nationals now, and Catherine Connolly has a healthy lead in the presidential election. The latest poll, which is accurate to around about 2%, has her on 38%. Heather Humphreys is trailing at 20%, so Catherine Connolly's a 2-1 lead over Heather Humphreys at the moment. Jim Gavin, interestingly, by the way, even though he doesn't have an active campaign, he's still on the ballot. He's got a 5% approval rating. Will not vote is at 12%. And those that will spoil the vote is at 6%. Obviously, there's a big campaign online for people to spoil the vote. 18% of people don't know. Now, whoever you choose to vote for, whether it's Heather Humphreys or Catherine Connolly, the only way either gets elected is if you actually go out and vote. It's a lot to ask, I suppose, if you're not really that interested, but many of you may well be, but you're going to have to get out and vote in a little over a week. But reading on here, Catherine Connolly holds a commanding lead in the presidential election with just over a week to go before votes are cast, according to the latest Irish Times Ipsos BNA opinion poll. The poll finds that Miss Connolly on 38% has almost double the support of her nearest rival, Fine Gael's Heather Humphreys, on 20%. Support for the Fianna Fáil candidate Jim Gavin, who stopped his presidential campaign last week but is still on the ballot paper, is just 5%. And I think it's interesting, and it might be a little bit of a model for future politicians to take on, in that, what certain sections of the media or certain maybe, centre or right minded journalists, what they might think is a controversy is not necessarily a controversy amongst the wider Irish people. And I think really, and I think particularly with Catherine Connolly, because some of the stories that they've tried to stick on her really aren't issues that the Irish public see as an issue, or they're content with her answer. And I think it really talks to maybe a little bit of a gap between maybe the media and general political bubble in Dublin, and really what Irish people think and what bothers them and what doesn't bother them. And I think that's why Catherine Connolly's retained such a strong lead, because really the controversies that they've tried to put on her haven't really been, I don't think, for most people, controversies at all. But I can imagine at times, the papers thought, right, we've got her now. This is going to really stick, but it doesn't, and it hasn't. So if Heather Humphreys is going to come through, she is going to need a miracle, because polls are polls, right? And the only poll that matters is voting day. But it's very hard to bridge an 18% gap when there's no real momentum there. There's no momentum for Catherine Connolly to stumble, it seems, and there's no real momentum for for Heather Humphreys to double her vote. So, and as well as that, transfers on an issue as such now with Jim Gavin down at 5%. So, Catherine Connolly in good shape. But whether you want Ms. Humphreys or Ms. Connolly to win, you have to vote. Shocking story out of Dublin yesterday, covered in all the papers. I'm going to take it from the Irish Independent. And detectives are investigating if a row over food led to a 17-year-old being stabbed to death in an emergency care facility in Dublin. The victim, an international protection applicant, suffered stab wounds to the head and chest during the attack at the Granton Wood apartment complex in Donaghmead yesterday morning. Detectives were waiting last night to interview another teenager in relation to the attack. He was arrested at the scene after being pepper sprayed by Gardaí. The male juvenile, who's also an asylum seeker, was arrested but was taken to hospital before he was formally detained. He remained in a medical facility last night being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Now, this property where the incident happened, it's a unit used by TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency, as emergency accommodation to house four separated international protection applicants. So these are people who have come here. They're youths, but they don't have a family. First responders helped a number of other juveniles and adults who works there, I believe, while a female worker, as I said there, was taken to hospital. It's believed the woman suffered superficial wounds while trying to intervene in a row. Gardaí have used the language, when you can read between the lines. They're not looking for anyone else. They are following a definite line of inquiry, and there's no wider threat to the wider public. So presumably they'll be interviewing the person shortly who is in hospital. Now, as if traffic wasn't bad enough in Letterkenny, there is a car broken down on the roundabout at Opdam, which is causing delays into Letterkenny this morning. Which roundabout is that, Caroline? Do we know which one is the Opdam one? Just the one below us here? So that's Knocknamona roundabout, is it? I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, they've all got different blooming names. People call them different things. So we've just been hearing on the news there about the need for yellow boxes. Though I think it was former Councillor John O'Donnell sought to have yellow boxes placed on that roundabout a couple of years ago, and he was told it couldn't happen. It would have to happen, and there'd have to be traffic studies and all this kind of stuff, because it's a TII road, and it's not just a case of the council saying, yeah, let's put yellow boxes there. It was rejected at that time, so I don't know what's going to change in the next couple of years. But if things weren't bad enough, there's a car broken down, exacerbating the problem. Probably burnt out the clutch coming up the hill. The Irish Farmers Journal this morning: milk processors take another 2.5% off prices. The base price on offer for September milk are down another 2.5 pence per litre at both Lakeland Dairies and Dale Farm, leaving those prices 6 to 7 pence per litre below what was being paid at the start of the year and at their lowest point since May 2024. In the case of Lakeland Dairies, it will pay for September milk from a base price of 35.8 pence per litre to include its 0.5% sustainable payment. Dale Farm followed suit and also took price down by 2.5 pence. Is it pence or percent? What's P? Leaving the base at 36.3 per litre. That price includes its 0.3p loyalty bonus and is believed... dairy farmers out there, not that there's that many up in this part of the world, is it P? Or what are they talking about reducing it by P? I probably should know that. I'll Google it. I would have thought it was cent. Is that not about what's being paid for a litre? In the Sun, Simon Harris, he yesterday comfortably survived a confidence vote in the Dáil as Aintu tried to force him to resign over his handling of the spinal surgery waitlist scandal. These votes of no confidence, I suppose they're purposeful in that they sort of have the conversation out there, but they're kind of frequent now and they don't really even get too much media coverage, if the truth be told. But the way the numbers are in the Dáil, unless it's something that those that support the government are peed off about, they will always survive them. And it's the same with Councillor Charles Ward's motion yesterday, the government's counter motion to effectively pat itself on the back for what it's achieving with the DCB scheme. They will always be successful because they have the numbers. But anyway, Simon Harris survived the vote of no confidence in the Dáil as Aintu tried to force him to resign, that over the handling of the spinal surgery waitlist scandal. But families whose children suffered waiting for scoliosis and spina bifida operations last night welcomed the cross-party support aired by TDs during the Dáil debate for a public inquiry into the failings at Children's Health Ireland. Aintu leader Peadar Tóibín this week announced his plan to table a motion of no confidence in the Taoiseach next week. On to the Daily Mirror this morning, and Israel is warned of devastating consequences if Hamas does not disarm as was demanded in the peace deal. A row over the identity of a body returned to Israel has also threatened to shatter the fragile peace agreement. Hamas handed over the remains of an unknown Gazan in place of one of the kidnapped Israeli security officials claim. Now, the complication Hamas is claiming is that the remaining 19 bodies, because they handed 2 more over overnight, they're either under rubble or under bombs that haven't fully exploded and what have you. And they've said now that there's no more bodies to be had. They can't find any more of the bodies. But obviously they are still armed, because you've seen the images yourself there. But it's interesting that internationally Israel's been asked to have patience in relation to the return of those bodies. What do you like at taking your annual leave if you're lucky enough to have a job? I mean, everyone has, different levels of annual leave, some none, depending on the contract you're on. But do you take your annual leave? Are you made feel guilty for taking your annual leave? Are you just really, do you feel that you can't take your annual leave because you're so busy? Or what's what? What is the story there? Because a third of us don't take full holidays. Now, I'm not saying how many here or whatever, but I've got quite a few days backed up and I have to take a couple of days next week because there's lots of people seem to be delaying taking their holidays. And it's not that anyone has anything to do. We're just a hard-working bunch here. But forget the weather. Irish workers have found an even better reason not to go on holiday. They're simply too busy not taking their annual leave. More than a third of workers are leaving days unused, according to the 2025 annual leave report by FRS Recruitment, with men significantly less likely than women to take their full entitlement. However, the 35% of people with leave remaining last year represents an overall improvement on 2023, when 42% of workers admitted they failed to take all their time off due to them. Now, some companies will allow you to carry them on, others won't. But why aren't you taking your days off? Is it because, as I say, you're too hardworking, you're too loyal? Are you made feel guilty? Are the days that you're potentially, they want you to take off, the quiet days, no good to you, and the busy days, a weekend or something like that, you kind of can't take them off? Or maybe you're charged with organising who's covering you. I'm just interested as to why a third of us don't take the time off. Or maybe it's not worth it because you have to catch up so much when you return. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting number. I thought it was a high number. I thought some of the people I know that aren't great at taking annual leave, I thought they were somewhat unique, but 1 in 3 of us don't. There's one other thing I wanted to mention. Let me see if I can grab the paper. Just give us a sec. Oh, 1 minute now. Where are you? Here we are. No, that's the wrong one. I can come back to it. Yeah. No, I'll have to come back to it. It's about the level of income in Donegal, because the CSO released figures. I think it was on Friday, and I didn't get my hands on them, or I didn't get to mention them, and I just want to read it out. The Donegal News is covering it today as well. It was on our news bulletins, but as I say, I didn't get to cover it on this programme. And it really lays bare the level of the level of deprivation and low incomes that we have here in County Donegal. So I'll come back to that after a break or a little later on in the programme, because, as I say, we recognise that on this programme, because we cover a lot of stuff that would make it hard not to, but also in how we deal with certain subjects. But it would seem that the way society is set up doesn't really recognise that. So I'll read those figures out for you a little later on in the show.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountain Top Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountain Top Diner.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Forward Festival presents The Big Hully, featuring Whistling Donkeys, All Folked Up, Derek Warfield and Young Wolf Tones, Danny Byrne Band and High Flying Paddies. Bank Holiday Saturday, 25th of October. The Marquee, Letterkenny at Kiltoy. Tickets available from forwardfestival.ie.
Love great food, fashion, and making a difference? Join the team that puts customers first every single day. Just search M&S Careers and start your journey today.
Stay warm for less with Homeland's October mega deals. Buy 5 bags of Cozy Glow smokeless coal, get a bag of Harvest Flame 30 litre free. Kiln dried hardwoods, log crate, only €249, save €50. All this and more until October 21st. In-store and online at homeland.ie.
Meet Louise. She made big savings on her car insurance when she made the switch to Outsurance.
Hi, I'm Louise. It's true, I saved €212 when I made the switch. And with the Out bonus, I'll get 10% of my premiums back in cash after 3 years claim-free.
Happy days. For a competitive car insurance quote like Louise's, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Attention students, TFI Local Link bus services, available nationwide, can connect you to a wide range of colleges all year round. Save up to 50% on cash fares when you use your TFI Young Adult or Student Leap Card. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Discover amazing deals at Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori, Strabane. Enjoy a 2-course menu for £19.95 Monday to Friday, Euro for pound night Wednesday and steak night Thursday. Sunday carvery from 12:30 to 3:30. Party packages and function rooms available. Call 02871 382905 to book.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time now is 9:23. So as you would know, yesterday we were speaking to 100% Redress TD Deputy Charles Ward. He had a motion down where he effectively was going to use his time to lay bare what he believed was the flaws of the DCB scheme, the mishandling of it, etc., the people being left behind, all the issues we cover here on this show all of the time. There was a counter motion by government, which really effectively then places that on the Dáil record, whereby they were saying, they're doing really well. It's a scheme that can be, enhanced going forward. 3,000 people are working through the scheme and all that kind of stuff as well, right? So, listen, the government believe this is a good scheme. But just to let you know how people voted, because that's really quite critical, isn't it? So Fianna Fáil's Pat the Cope Gallagher, he voted with the government, effectively endorsing the scheme, as did Junior Minister Charlie McConalogue. He also voted, as you can imagine, with the government, endorsing the scheme as a good scheme and a scheme that's making good progress, etc., The Sinn Féin TDs voted against, as of course it was Charles Ward's motion. So of our five, one proposed the original motion, 2 voted for the government counter motion. Pat the Cope Gallagher and Charlie McConalogue effectively saying that the motion set out that the scheme was a good scheme, and 2 against. Namely Pierce Doherty, Pádraig McLaughlin, just to get that on the record on the programme here, because a few people were asking, you see. And it is something we covered on the show yesterday. Ronan joins us now. Ronan from the We Greenway Initiative. Good morning, Ronan.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you for joining us. I have in front of me an advert or a GIF or whatever you might call it. Wearing a high visibility vest, a reflective belt, or fluorescent clothing increases your visibility. Be bright, wear bright, and drive alive or arrive alive. Sorry. And this is a county council. This is a county council sort of message getting out there. The Gardaí say it too as well.
Yeah.
I presume you see it as a worthwhile message, do you, Ronan?
Well, I think the message underpinning it, that we should all be road aware and we should all be aware of all our road users, I think that's to be commended. But I do have reservations about the focus and the emphasis on high vis. And it would be really good to know what evidence local authorities and the guards in particular base this messaging around, because it's my experience that that's not the case. And if you talk to other, say, cycling advocates or organisations who want to make our infrastructure, particularly our roads, safe for all road users, they would have reservations about this focus on high vis. So, for example, I was talking to your producer earlier. I saw an incident in Kerry a couple of days ago when a woman wearing a high-vis vest on a national road off the main carriageway was almost struck by a lorry going past her because he was veering on the road and wasn't paying attention to what was going on in front of him. And I think that's probably a greater risk to all road users, along with speed, than people not being seen from a distance.
Yeah, but they're both a problem, aren't they? Obviously, if you're out on the road, you want cars have lights, not just to be seen, but also not just to see, but also to be seen. So, walkers, cyclists, they wear their high vis, they follow the rules of the road. Motorists shouldn't be speeding, they should be aware, and they follow the rules of the road. It's not one or other, is it? It's both.
It is a mixture, but the big merely speed.
All right, I don't know if you can move position, Ronan, because I'm losing you on the line there.
Me?
You're cutting in and out. If you could just move position, maybe, Ronan. So, what were you about to say there, or
Yeah.
what did you say?
I was just saying that if you in Donegal this week, there was a court case where there was a man before the courts for driving at 160 kilometres an hour on a 100k an hour road in Kilmacrennan, and the defence argument, which was accepted by the judge, was that because they wanted the offence downgraded from dangerous driving to careless driving, was that it was happening at night time, and there was no one about. That was the defence the defence, and it was accepted. And that kind of philosophy and logic really underpins what is wrong with society at the moment when it comes to road fatalities and how people should interact with our infrastructure. So, over 31%.
But the reality is though, Ronan, it is always the driver or the motorist that has the most. It's always the driver or the motorist, isn't it, that has the most attention on them. They're normally blamed. That's where the majority of the road safety message goes. That's where the rules and regulations are. It's the motorist. It's not the pedestrian. Pedestrians seem to be able to do whatever they like with. When was the last time you could quote a court case of a pedestrian causing a collision, for an example?
Yeah, I understand that, and I see where people come from when they make this case. But there is, if you get behind the wheel, if a human gets behind the wheel of a motorized vehicle, they have a responsibility that is absent from someone who's out walking on a road or out on a footpath.
Ronan, just remind me.
That is the difference, and there's laws for that.
I seem to recall us talking before, did we? You're an anti-high viser, are you?
Well, I'm not an anti-high viser.
But you don't wear one.
I'm pro. I don't wear one anymore.
Yeah.
I used to wear one. I worked in Dublin for 19 years, and for the first 10 years of that existence, I wore a high-vis jacket going to and from work.
Yeah.
And in that period, I was struck 3 times by motorists.
So if you go out cycling or walking at night, you don't wear high-vis? Like that's a choice you make. Right. But I can't remember the logic
wear bright
from
clothing.
Does it have reflectors and stuff on it?
No, generally not.
Okay, so give us the logic of that again. I can't remember. It's years since we spoke, but I just seem to remember the line of the conversation.
It really goes back to all road users and the kind of society that we want to have. So if you ask someone, a parent, they don't let their kid walk or cycle to school because it's too dangerous. Well, why is it too dangerous? It's too dangerous because they believe that humans and vehicles are driving too fast and may kill their children. So the solution to that is not that the child wears a high-vis. The solution to that is that that the person driving the vehicle slows down and is more attentive on the roads.
Yeah,
you see this in other countries.
Yeah, I just
remember. It's a very English-speaking.
Of course, but I get where you're coming from, and I'm starting to feel the same level of exacerbation as I did when we first talked. I still maintain, I get where you're coming from. And, the motorist, the vehicle, the 1 ton, the 10 ton thing is the thing that's going to cause the damage. But you have to give yourself the best chance of avoiding bad drivers or even good drivers by wearing high vis so people people know that you're there, Ronan, and can avoid you, whether going at a healthy speed, not a healthy speed, a slow speed or a fast speed.
There is very little evidence to support this general view, but what evidence does exist will say that it is more important to wear bright clothing during the day, but at nighttime, high-vis is not making any difference. There's no empirical evidence to support.
But my eyes are the evidence, Ronan.
Well, make a difference with slower vehicles.
But the evidence is my eyes. The cars, tractors, trailers. Like, say, for instance, if you're towing a trailer. If the trailer obscures the backlights of your car, right, you have to put a tailgate on that trailer. Sorry, like a light board on that trailer, so that you can see it. You can see what it's going to do. My eyes know that sometimes you come up on people in wet weather. Someone doesn't dip their lights. Yes, that's the blame of another motorist. And next thing you're on someone who's walking on the road in dark clothing, and you nearly clean them out of it. But you would have a better chance of seeing them if they were wearing bright, high-vis, reflective type clothing, Ronan. That's my eyes. I don't need a study in relation to that, do I?
Well, I mean, the flip side of that is if I was driving slower and I came across someone wearing dark clothing, I could probably avoid them easily. Rather than if I was driving at a faster speed. And again, I go back, over 30% of road fatalities at the moment on Irish roads, north and south, are people who are walking or cycling. Humans walking or cycling, and they're being killed by humans who are primarily driving.
But also
too,
but the one factor is that you're not considering in this as well is the infrastructure. It's our infrastructure as well, whereby we're having to get about in our different ways of doing so on roads that really aren't designed for it. Whether you're wearing high vis or not, you're in a car, a jeep, a lorry, going fast or slow. We're having to share an infrastructure that's not built for that. So surely in the interim, until such time and that's ever fixed, if it ever is, cars have lights, drivers drive slow, cyclists and walkers wear high vis and carry a light, so we can all bloom and see each other.
Yeah, I think everyone has a part to play, but don't forget that roads existed before motorized traffic existed, and people were walking on horseback and on bicycles and pulling a cart long before motorized traffic came on the scene.
Ronan. It's a bizarre protest. It's a bizarre protest. I'm calling it a protest, right? I'm not. You know what I mean? But it's to sort of say, right, cars are driving too fast, motorists are poor. I'm not going to wear high vis, But anyway, Michael McClafferty is a counsellor who joins us. Michael, you listening to Ronan there? He says there's no evidence that high vis is effective, and it's really down to motorists.
I don't agree with that, Greg, to be quite honest with you. I agree with the point you're making yourself there, and with all respect to Ronan, everybody needs to be out on the road, be safely, clearly seen, all the rest, wearing a high vis, wearing an armband, wearing a light, headlight or flash lamp, whatever you want to like. What you give everybody the chance. Obviously, accordingly, then the other side of it, the motorists always need to drive with due care. But driving with due care, as you touched on yourself, Greg, the infrastructure as well, yes, needs huge improvements everywhere throughout our country. But at the same time, Greg, we need to be fair to each other here. give each other a chance. It's not fair pushing it all onto the motorists or this mad idea of not wearing a high-vis vest, all this kind of stuff. It's been highlighted to me in recent days there, as I said to Caroline there, about walkers out. I've seen them myself as well, to be fair, because I'm on the road no more than yourself, all hours, late early mornings, whatever. There be walkers out, there be runners out, there be occasionally cyclists out, which I've not seen at all against cyclists, but at times I've seen them recently. Now, cyclists alone, not in bunches. To be fair, the ones in bunches are well catered for, they're well geared out. But more so, the solo, the individual cyclist may or may not, and in many cases I've come across there, does not have a high-vis vest, first of all, or an armband. They have a rear light and a front light, all right, but as I said to Bronwyn there, there's more light off a candle, to be fair. And you have to judge this against then, Greg, possibly. As you see yourself, another car meeting you, heavy rain, different conditions, as I've come across, cyclists having out in torrential rain as well, caught out, whatever, the way it's turned out. But particularly, I think, focusing on the walkers, the walkers and the runners, they need to be let up, Craig.
Ronan.
They need to have the high vis on.
Tell him why you think he's wrong.
100%.
Ronan?
Well, it's not a case of being wrong or right. I mean, I hear this argument. I've been listening to this argument from local councillors all across Ireland, in Kerry, Donegal, Derry, Dublin. I've heard the same argument for 20, 25 years, that really people who are not in motorised vehicles need to be lit up like Christmas trees, because people in motorised vehicles don't want to slow down to cater for other people who want to be road users. And that's really the crux of it. I mean, Donegal, the roads in Donegal, like in other counties, I didn't interrupt you, councillor. The roads in Donegal, like all our counties, are not fit for purpose in many cases. Where we have twisty rural roads, we have houses and businesses in the back of beyond. So our roads, our local roads and our regional roads, and in proportion to, say, equivalent roads on the continent, are much busier. That is an issue as well. So you could be on roads in France, Belgium, Italy, in similar areas, and you won't see a driver.
Do you drive, Ronan? Do you drive?
I do, yes.
Have you never had a near miss with a walker in dark clothing? Hello, Ronan. Sorry, your line.
Why that's the case?
No, Ronan, sorry, your phone cut out again. I just wanted to ask you the question again. Have you ever had a near miss as a driver with someone walking or cycling in dark clothing?
No.
Really?
No, never. Correct, never.
Okay. Well, you stick by your guns. I admire that. But I mean, it's beggars belief. And if you had kids, would you encourage them to wear high vis? I hate bringing kids into it, right? Because it feels like I'm trying to paint you into a corner, but I'm not. I'm actually really genuinely just trying to get an insight into how committed to this you are.
Well, I mean, I don't have children, so I have neighbours and friends who all have children, and it's been a mixture. Some of them have sent their kids off on foot, wearing high vis in the morning. Some of them don't do that. Some of them would take my philosophy and say, well, you know, why should a child have to be lit up like a Christmas tree just to go about their daily business?
Okay, Michael, Councillor.
I mean, we have a major issue. I mean, the councillor is correct about infrastructure.
Yeah, okay, go on, Councillor. You come back in there.
The councillor is correct. Like I said, the councillor is correct about infrastructure. But if I'm out during the daytime driving, then I should be paying attention to the road. And there will be a lot of your listeners who like to walk to their destination for wherever they're going. If they can come on and they'll tell you about the number of drivers they can see on a daily basis who are not attentive.
What's your feeling about road signs, traffic lights, road markings? Are you in favour of them?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor McClafferty, did you want to come back there? I do need to move on, though.
Yeah. Well, quickly, Greg, and with all respect to Ronan and his points here, first of all, I have never once suggested, or any of my colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, have suggested people go out lit up like Christmas trees. That's a stretch and an exaggeration of the imagination.
He doesn't mean
I
that.
know, but Greg,
this
is serious. But I know what he means, but there's a serious matter, like, to be fair. For the record, Greg, and I can categorically state this for the record, I almost had a close shave one morning. One of my own neighbours. He was out running. I was driving. He He had no high vis on, he was dressed in dark clothes. He literally fell basically a matter a couple of feet away from me. Okay, I was observant, I was able to stop, but I got the fright of my life. He had nothing on, running dark, out dark in the morning. Like.
All right,
so
Councillor.
that's where I see.
Yeah, I get you. I know what you're on about. Councillor Michael McClafferty, thank you. Ronan, you're a cyclist as well. Just finally, where do you believe your place on the road is as a cyclist? Do you stay in the left? Do you use cycle lanes? If you want to be in the middle of the road, are you in the middle of the road? Because, as you say, well, as you sort of indicated that, the road's yours as much as this. So how do you behave as a cyclist?
Well, I cycle defensively, and I cycle to the road conditions and to what's going on around me. So sometimes I could be slightly out from the left because the road may be poor, it may be gated, there could be potholes. If there's a cycle lane available, I'll use the cycle lane. Sometimes I won't use the cycle lane if it's not being maintained. And again, that's another issue that we have, that where cycling infrastructure does exist. Sometimes it is not maintained, particularly in autumn months when leaves are falling. And if I'm on a windy country road, I may sit further out because I believe, because I'm also someone who drives, that I know that person may see me better if I'm further out and not hugging a hedge line.
All right, okay.
So it really depends on the road conditions.
All right, Ronan, thank you for that. That's Ronan there. That's his views. Councillor Michael McClafferty also joined us. Interested in your points of view? 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
What is Vodafone SIM only? Well, it's the same great Vodafone reliability with unlimited calls, texts and data on the same great Vodafone network for just €25 a month. Perfect when you don't need us to do the phone part. Vodafone. Together we can.
New customers and those switching to our 24-month, €25 SIM-only plan. Each April, the price of your plan will increase by €2.50 per month. Full terms, see vodafone.ie/terms.
When it's gone, it's gone. This week's new wigging at Home Store and More. All baking trays and tins are all half price. But better hurry, because when all our half-price baking trays and tins are gone, they're gone. Also, all clothes hangers and all living room throws are still half price. But when our clothes hangers and living room throws wiggings are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
As a parent, you always remember the little things, but don't forget the bigger ones. When it comes to child safeguarding, do you know who to speak to in your child's school and clubs?
Under Children First, all organisations working with children and young people need to have strong measures in place to safeguard children. To learn more about Children First, visit gov.ie/Children First.
We were all children once. Now we are Children First. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Hello, it's Joe Duffy here. I've been fortunate through my work with the National Lottery to meet some extraordinary good causes, from boxing clubs, wildlife conservation to community cafes. Did you know National Lottery players raise over €4.5 million every week for good causes all over Ireland? And that's all thanks to you, the players. You made this possible. Support responsibly. Average figures based on 2024 financials.
At Hidden Hearing, we believe you should keep hearing it all. Keep dancing. Keep celebrating. Keep laughing. Keep being you. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie and book a free hearing test today. Hidden Hearing. Your hearing is our expertise.
The Highland Radio Country Music Weekend is almost here at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, Friday 31st of October and Saturday 1st of November. On Friday night, it's Patrick Finney and his band, then myself, David James and band. Saturday night, enjoy Jordan McPollan, Stacey Breen, followed by Michael English and his band. Spaces are limited, so book yours now at clanryhotel.com or highlandradio.com.
Right, lots of you interested in that last conversation there. Let's get to some of those comments. As there is a month and a half gone, I live in an area, people walking, running and cycling and all well out in the road. They can't get in as no hedges, verges, briar, etc. cut. That's in a lot of places. Yeah, too, that's another issue, isn't it? Forcing other road users out into the road. Another caller says, anyone out without high-vis, etc. at night should be penalised like any other person that breaks the law on the road. But Ronan, very stuck in his views there. Tell that man to wake up. Any man who doesn't wear high visibility is simply not wise and doesn't deserve our time. Well, my philosophy is, people's opinions are important whether you fully agree with them or not. The drivers are watching their mobile phones. I see HGV drivers on phones regularly. Another caller says, do you think cyclists should be insured on the road? If they have car insurance, they could have an option for bicycles if the insurance companies could have this option. Another here was driving in Donegal at the weekend where 8 cyclists had someone at junction stopping traffic so they didn't have to stop. They were allowed out in front of cars, which seemed crazy. The cars then are trying to pass them, cyclists who do not follow the rules of the road. A stop sign means stop for everyone on the road. Now, I don't know, that sounds like an organised event with stewards and what have you, so I'm not sure if they just said, right, it's a minor inconvenience, no one will mind, or they had permission. I'm not sure how that works. Not wearing a high-vis is like not having the lights on in your car. Yeah, indeed. And I mean, the way I would view that, and I think the way you can make sort of a better comparison is that, in the as it starts to get brighter, as it starts to get dark, you see cars without lights on. They can see what's happening, but they're harder to see for other motorists, and that's really kind of similar. You want to be seen, don't you? It's a very poor decision not to wear high vis on roads while walking or cycling. But Roland says he knows people that that make the conscious decision to send their children out without high vis as well. At night, bright clothes don't work. You need to have high vis. I'm a cyclist. I always wear my high vis. It's too dangerous for people not wearing high vis at night. Fair play, Greg. Those walking on the roads think they're royalty, can't step in or even make eye contact. The man you're speaking to right now is a prime example of why people get hurt. Hi, Greg. I appreciate everyone is entitled to their opinion, but as regards Ronan's comments on high vis, I have to disagree. If he's looking for stats on if high visibility works, we need only refer to collisions where the drivers have said, I didn't see them. Drivers can't drive the speed limit or below and still cause serious injury, or they can, if they don't see somebody or something. People can only react to what they can see. People need to be seen. So for the sake of a high visibility vest, which are freely given at local Garda stations, I'd rather have it than not have it. But Roland makes a conscious decision not to wear it, and he believes that he walks responsibly, or obviously not because he's not wearing high vis, but that the motorist needs to be keeping an eye out for him. Hi, Greg. I met a lady walking outside Dunfanaghy this morning at 7:30 a.m. wearing a black coat, no high vis. That comes in from John. Ask Ronan, does he wear his seatbelt while driving or use a helmet when cycling? Another, safety rules and guidelines apply to all road users, drivers, cyclists and pedestrians. High vis stuff is essential. And another, Greg, you cannot control every driver in this country as regards what speed they drive. You can try and ensure that everyone wears a high vis when they're out and about. You can even get high vis vests free of charge. I do a bit of cycling just for exercise, and I wouldn't leave the house without a high vis even during the day. I wonder, does he wear a helmet when he's cycling? I cannot understand his argument at all. But listen, the bottom line is that, and this is a very, very important road safety message as well. Ronan's opinion's Ronan's opinion, but we know that if you are out and about cycling or walking, you need to wear a high vis because that's what gives motorists the best opportunity to see you, carry a light. I certainly wouldn't want to, in any conversation, water down the importance of that message. My boys would not be allowed on the road without high vis on, if they were so inclined, right? So I'm very, very strong on that, by the way. Okay, back with the weather after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Forward Festival presents The Big Hully, featuring Whistling Donkeys, All Folked Up, Derek Warfield and Young Wolf Tones, Danny Byrne Band and High Flying Paddies. Bank Holiday Saturday, 25th of October. The Marquee, Letterkenny at Kiltoy. Tickets available from forwardfestival.ie.
You catch them in the corner of your eye, refusing to blend in. An electrifying presence you can't forget. The new Cupra Performance plug-in hybrid range is designed to move you further. With up to 130 kilometers of electric autonomy, you can set your course without compromise. Search Cupra plug-in hybrid today. All-electric range based on WLTP test data. Real-world driving results may vary.
Your local dealer is DMG Motors, Clough Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 972136 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
If you're getting new furniture or it's time for a change, pay a visit to McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. There you'll find a selection of suites, beds and bedroom furniture, dining room and occasional furniture. You'll be amazed by the selection and pleasantly surprised by the prices. At McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. And online at mcginleysfurniture.com.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Donegal County Council are holding a public drop-in event in the Himalayan Cafe on Church Lane, Letterkenny this Thursday, the 16th of October from 3 till 8 p.m. for the Cathedral Quarter Park Project. This is an urban regeneration funded project that will see disused land transformed into a new park and a new building for visual artists in the heart of Letterkenny's cultural quarter. You are invited to drop in and share your ideas. An online survey is also circulating on all Donegal County Council's social media posts.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in-store or shop online at mcelhinney's.com today.
So it's going to be mainly dry but mostly cloudy today with just a few limited bright to sunny spells. There'll be a few isolated showers of patches of drizzle and mist. Temperatures 11 to 13 degrees, and it is going to get a little bit wetter Saturday, Sunday into next week, and temperature's going to dip a little bit. So again, just enjoy this little bit of high pressure whilst you can. On the issue of the roads again, hi Greg, was out walking last night, met a group of 2 adults and 2 children, about 5 and 7, walking at the Mount Errigal Hotel. None of them had high vis on. Another here, if we're to follow Ronan's logic, there's no need for high vis in construction and other industries either. Another listener says, hi Greg, what about these slow drivers who do 30 or 40 kilometres per hour in an 80 zone? 3 or 4 driving parallel, holding back rows of traffic on a 2-lane road, causing a gridlock on Sundays. Never a traffic guarder to tell them to move on. And otherwise, Ronan telling people to risk their lives by walking or cycling at night while trying to remain unseen. I see this regularly, and it's basically attempted suicide. If you can't be seen, then how on earth can the motorists avoid you? Is he willing to take responsibility for people who follow his advice and get injured or killed? But you see, I can't speak for Ronan. Ronan's gone now, but listening to what he said is he would still put the blame at the motorists for not seeing the walker. And I don't think he's not going to shift on that opinion. But again, just to reiterate, if you're out and about, you know, you have to be safe, you have to be seen, you have to wear high vis and a light and make sure your bike lights are on. And also in a car, you have to make sure your headlights are working, your dips are working, that you have your lights on when you should have them on. You know, lorry drivers, they're restricted to certain speed limits as well. They've got tachographs to make sure that they don't exceed them for the most part. Buses the same, you know, tractors. We all have rules to follow. A caller says a lot of walkers and runners cycle on the roads, no high vis. But again, not wishing to condone it or promote it, because that would be dangerous. But if you are a person like Ronan who makes a conscious decision not to wear it, please text us 086 60 25,000. You don't have to come on. So I just wanted to reference these figures that show that Donegal's records highest poverty levels in the state. As I say, we covered it on the news here, but it just didn't align with when we were on air for this show. And I often reference this, you know, when we talk about averages, and I always say, well, Donegal's going to be worse here. And these stats seem to play that out. Donegal has recorded the highest rates of people living on low incomes in the state. New data from the CSO shows 25% of us had an equivalent net administrative income below the low income threshold, more than double the rate in County Kildare. Within Donegal, the Carndonna local electoral area recorded the highest rate of low income in the country, highlighting the deepening economic divide across the region. So, of all of the country, according to these statistics, if you're in the Carndonna local electoral area, you have the lowest income. And you would know that because you live it every day. You don't need me to say it. Now, that's obviously a percentage. There are still people in the Carndonna area that are doing better, don't get me wrong. So there you go. That just is absolutely categorical. You can't dispute that. We have the highest poverty levels in the state. 25% of us had an equivalent net administrative income below the low income threshold, and in Carndonna it had the lowest, the highest rate, of people below the low income threshold in the whole country, which is shocking from county to county, and not only from county to county, but from within the county. That affects businesses too, because the level of disposable income is then determines how much people can spend. And staying with businesses, because we see on the front of the Tyrconnell Tribune conversation kite flying about a 5% increase in commercial rates. A caller says, Greg, I'm a small businessman in Inishowen. Once again, the small business is being pushed into higher rates. We're struggling to stay open and keep people employed. Yet the council are proposing higher rates. What are the council doing to make cuts to their budgets? Small businesses can't be continued to be relied upon as the only people taking the pain. Most officials have had continued pay rises in the last year. Well, all of them have, by the way. The national pay agreement means that all public employees get pay raises. Not contradicting you, I'm backing you up in that point of view. Yeah, that's an interesting point of view as well. Is there an opportunity to cut costs rather than increase rates? Back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
McGowan Hearing, one of the longest established audiologists in the Northwest, now have weekly clinics in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonna. Book your free hearing aid consultation at one of these clinics or with audiologist Darren McGowan in your own home. Call 07191 00208 or visit mcgowanhearing.com.
To all fearless tradesmen and business owners of Donegal, this Friday, October 17th, iMotors invites you to Snugborough, Letterkenny. Join us from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. for free breakfast and coffee. Check out our commercial vehicle range and grab your free safety pack. Buy a new Nissan Primaster or Interstar and get €1,000 to fuel up or tool up. Pre-order before December 23rd for your chance to win €10,000 exclusively at iMotors.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Autumn is here and so is your last chance to save. The annual Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday at Easy Living Furniture. Celebrate the sale of the season with huge reductions on all departments. From plush sofas and dreamy mattresses to eye-catching dining sets and stylish accessories, we have everything you need to make your home feel autumn ready. The Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry.
My Future Fund, the new auto-enrollment retirement savings scheme, is coming. You pay in, your employer pays in, and the state tops it up. It all adds up to a great way to save for your future and something to look forward to. For more information, visit gov.ie/auto-enrollment. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Les Miserables, the musical phenomenon, is touring the world in a spectacular new production. The Arena Spectacular comes to 3 Arena from May 29th to June 6th. Tickets from $33.65 go on sale Wednesday, October 22nd, maybe subject to fees.
Tugan vaccini neart breise go de choras im Nienachta, chun tú chosin ser chinnes trom chúiseach. Maltarhuit vaccine flu oil, má tá tú seaca blin díos nó níos sinna, más aibrí cuairim sláinte hu, má tá tú gumpar clina, nó má tá rucht sláinte fad sermachart.
Molta which vaccine COVID ní jéga oil freshen, mátá tú seaca blin dísh nó níos sinna, nó mátá rucht sláinte fad termachart. Cur vaccine le de lista rudi atá le dina, agus cosan hu hain agus de hailachs na mian amach roin. Laur le doctor nó cógasúr ran fortach, nó tuaircuirt ar HSE.ie le haid sila ólis. Ón HSE.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Katie Gillen with the news at 10 o'clock. The trial of Soldier F could soon be brought to a halt at Belfast Crown Court. A judge will deliver his ruling later on whether or not it will proceed. The former British soldier is accused of 2 murders and 5 attempted murders on Bloody Sunday in Derry in 1972. He's pleaded not guilty. With more, here's Chelsea Keeley.
Earlier this week, a judge heard an application from the defence to dismiss the case. Central to it is hearsay evidence from 2 other British soldiers in Derry. Evidence the defence says doesn't stack up, where the prosecution has described it as decisive. Now all eyes are on Judge Patrick Lynch, who'll decide if the non-jury trial will continue.
Gardaí are waiting to question a teenager after a Ukrainian boy was stabbed to death in North Dublin. The 17-year-old died following a row at a Tusla care facility in Donamead. From there, Stephanie Rowan reports.
This small emergency residential unit is located in a private gated apartment complex here in Donamead and houses underage international protection applicants. Yesterday a row broke out and a 17-year-old Ukrainian boy was stabbed and died. A female staff member was injured when she tried to intervene. A 17-year-old boy from Africa was also hurt and he remains in hospital this morning. Gardaí are waiting to question him about what happened. They're trying to figure out who and what started this row, but say they're not looking for anyone else in connection with the incident and are following a definite line of inquiry. A post-mortem will be carried out on the victim's body today. Tusla says it's providing additional supports to everyone affected. Stephanie Rowan in Donamead.
Residents in one estate in Letterkenny are said to be fighting for their safety because of the behaviour of some motorists. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh has called on Donegal County Council to examine the possibility of installing additional traffic calming measures in the Ashlon estate. The local authority has confirmed that it has been in contact with a representative of the Residents Association and an assessment will be carried out. Councillor Kavanagh says there is a genuine fear that someone will be seriously injured by a speeding vehicle.
There's been several complaints from residents there, Kitty, about the speed of cars through the estate. They're worried there's elderly people living there, there's some children there, and it's become a real concern for the residents about speeding through the estate. They're asking that we get the council to look at it. If we could get traffic stopped from going through the estate at speed, that would be a big help. And the way to do that really, I suppose, would be to make the bottom entrance entry only, no exits. So I'm hoping that the council can get that done for us.
A new report has found systemic failure in Northern Ireland schools' estate management, with a bill of up to £800 million for outstanding repairs and maintenance. The Assembly's Public Accounts Committee launched an inquiry in May this year, with officials from the Department of Education and the Education Authority giving evidence. PAC has published a report today following the completion of the inquiry, which also found backlogs relating to statutory remedial works estimated to cost around £29 million. West Tyrone MLA and Chair of the Public Accounts Committee, Daniel McCrossan, says many schools in the north are in a state of disrepair and the current situation is unsafe.
And a lot of the decisions taken by the Department of Education and the Education Authority have been reactive, they've been short-term, they've lacked transparency, and there's been no measurable outcomes. A lot of it quite literally a sticking plaster approach, and that has led to deteriorating conditions in schools, with many in a drastic state of disrepair. Classrooms are overcrowded, they're poorly heated, and in some instances we find that they're unsafe. We have come forward in our report with 11 recommendations which we would like the Minister for Education and the Department of Education to accept immediately and to action with urgency.
Former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern says he's supporting Heather Humphrey's presidential campaign. The former Fianna Fáil leader had hoped to run for the party in the presidential election, but was not nominated by the leadership. Catherine Connolly is ahead by 18 points according to an Ipsos BNA poll in the Irish Times this morning. Bertie Ahern says he's backing the Fine Gael candidate for the Áras.
I just think Heather is a very fine person, and the fact that I know her so well and when I've worked with her for 15 years, always found her to be, even though I was no longer in the Dáil, I found her a person that would handle things, really good reconciliation, spirit to try and bring things together. And I've seen that firsthand because I've been involved in these things now for 15 years across the board of counties where she was minister.
And now for the weather, it will be mainly dry but mostly cloudy today with just a few limited brighter sunny spells. There will just be a few isolated patches of drizzle and mist with high temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. That's all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back with the headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, October 16th. The death has taken place of Leo McGuinness, Ballyharry, Lekemy, Culdaff. Leo's remains will repose at his home today and tomorrow from 12 o'clock until 9 o'clock on both days, where you're all welcome to pay your respects. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Bocken, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on culdaffparish.com. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Kathleen Ward, née McAteer, Port Salin, and formerly of Rye, Dobeg Downings and Kilzaran, County Louth. Reposing at her home in Crow Ross, Port Salin from 2 o'clock today. Rosary at 8 o'clock. House private after 10 o'clock and before the funeral. Requiem Mass tomorrow at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Fanavulty, Fanad, followed by private cremation. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to St Eunan's Residence Comfort Fund, care of any family member or McAteer Funeral Directors. The death has taken place on the 2nd of September of James McDermott, Toronto, Canada, and Gweedore Station. His remains will leave Gweedore Station on Saturday for funeral mass at 11 o'clock in the Church of the Sacred Heart, Dunlewy, with interment afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on the church's webcam. The death has taken place of Danny Coyle, St Columba's Grove, Ballyduff Park, Clifford, and formerly of Trenta St Johnson, reposing at St Columba's Grove. Funeral leaving there tomorrow at 12:20 for Requiem Mass in St Bathan's Church, St Johnson at 1 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 10 o'clock and before the funeral. And the death has taken place of Kathleen McKay, 58 Station Road, Ballymagorry, reposing at her home. Funeral leaving there tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Clockcore at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. No flowers please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Foyle Hospice, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. Family time please from 10 o'clock and before the funeral. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Fearing the weekly shop? Your money now goes even further with our new Aldi Price Drops. Fill your bag with your faves, fresh wraps, pesto, maybe pancakes? You know, good food, the bits you need, and the treats you deserve. Then head to the till, check the bill, and breathe. Save even more with Aldi Price Drops.
All right, welcome back to the 9 till noon show. For this Thursday, you're very welcome to the programme. If you've just tuned in, where in God's name were you? And I mean, actually tell me. If you just switched on at 10, what were you doing between 9 and 10? You know, it's not a rhetorical question. 086 60 25,000. Tell me, I want your feedback. Though we did have, you missed a very busy 10 o'clock, not 9 till 10 hour, not least because we had lots on it, talking about road safety and what have you, but we've had dozens and dozens of texts. We really do appreciate them. Road safety caught your attention as well. But on the defective block motion yesterday in the Dáil, a caller says, I can't believe what Pat the Cope said. He knows the scheme is not working, but he's going with his party anyway. What I say to him, he may have done plenty of good work, but if he doesn't stand with the people, is this what he wants to be remembered for? Read traffic. Morning, Greg. Letterkenny, they're talking about. I'm sorry, but last thing we need is more cycle lanes. There's a wide footpath from the hospital to the mountaintop, and cyclists could manage on the road. It's more road space we need to help with traffic, along the lines of much of what we heard yesterday. A caller says, I was in Ards on Sunday walking back along the water towards the Friary. I heard what sounded like help, help coming from the water. I stood and looked out at the water but couldn't see anyone. Then I heard it again and realised it was sound being made by two large birds in the water. I was very relieved. This may be what happened at Straggle Beach in Buncrana on Monday evening. Hopefully this will make the person who contacted the emergency services feel better, as in my case it was a realistic human sound. Thank you, Helen. Well, listen, Helen, the one thing I will say about that call in relation to Straggle Beach, the emergency services said it was a false alarm with good intent. So people should never doubt themselves. I mean, obviously, like you did, Helen, you double checked and then you realised it was birds, which quite interestingly were making it sound like help. But the emergency services would prefer to respond to a false alarm with good intent than not getting the call at all. So I hope the person, if they're listening, who called in relation to Straggle Beach doesn't feel bad. They shouldn't. They did the right thing. But it's just interesting that you thought the bird sounded like it was a person shouting help. Anything else in that? Let us know. 08660 25,000. Hi, Greg. If speed camera vans are meant to be located at accident black spots, etc., to apparently save lives, can you find out just how many lives have been lost on Glenties Main Street, as there was a van placed there on Tuesday afternoon, or, as we suspect and probably in reality know, that this is just another cash cow for the RSA and insurance companies? Any info on this would be appreciated, and thanks. The logic is that there might have been a serious collision there, so it could have been a pedestrian knockdown. I can't recall, and I hope I'm not being insensitive, I can't recall such an incident. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but they can locate them there if there was a serious collision, serious injury or death. So that would be the justification there. There are a few places. There's one that parks in Donegal Town opposite the church, St. Patrick's Church there. It doesn't seem to make much logic. They get a lot of fines out of it. But maybe there have been collisions there. I do know there have been collisions there. But in relation to Glenties, if anyone's got any insight, let me know. The traffic jam in Letterkenny caused by directing traffic at roadworks, stopping the flow. It's still two-way, no difference. He's stopping them. So I'm not sure what that means there. I want to go to another couple of things as well. I don't want to sort of bombard you with road safety, but it's an awful lot of what we're getting, so I'm going to bombard you after we talk about the cost of living. Chatting about ESB bills and everyone struggling to pay them, with the boil water notice over a month now and a regular occurrence in Glenties and Dunlow, supply costing a lot more, electricity running to boil water. It's a disgrace, this, and it's going on far too long. Interesting point that I never thought about in an area with a boil notice. I got an update from Ishgaran about that last week, and they said they were continuing to monitor it and liaise with the HSC. But that boil notice is in place, so it's either, it's either buying bottled water, which is expensive in and of itself, or continuing to boil water for use in everyday life. A big inconvenience, and it's still ongoing. So leave that with me, and I'll try and find out. This doesn't take away from your point, of course, but I'm trying to find out if there's any sort of indication as to when that might be lifted. This listener was driving out the Derry Road this morning at 7:30 a.m. on a bus. I met a cyclist on the 2-lane road, yet a big cycle lane empty. So even we build the lanes, they're not being used, and that is a trend. Right, now. Hi, Greg. If Ronan was getting a €500 fine every time he was out on the road for not being lit up at night, he would soon start wearing them. Another. Hi, Greg. Back in the mid-1960s, we lived in Dromore and had to walk to the bus stop. There was no such thing as high-vis, so my mother got white plastic bags from the shopping, and cut the bottoms off them and put them over our heads with the handles on our shoulders. Frank, I'm not sure how useful that is, but that's an amazing memory. And mums and dads can be quite mad. I think that's something like my parents would do. If you've any other stories of strange things your mum and dad did, and Frank, I don't mean this any disrespect, like, it's just not something you would see now, right? So maybe at the time it made sense. Obviously it made you brighter and maybe acted as a bit of a windbreaker, but it is kind of a peculiar solution to a problem. I think we can agree on that. So have your mums and dads, have you any recollection from your childhood of other peculiar solutions to problems that they employed? Maybe a dad that walked out of out of the shed with some crazy contraption for you, or a mother who got around a particular problem doing a certain thing. Any memories like that? Share them with me, please. 086 60 25,000. It was mad in our house when I was growing up. I'm bound to be able to think of some myself when I have a moment. But, like, as I say, Frank, I'm not being in any way disrespectful. It's just the idea of it that in the mid-60s, cutting the bottom off a plastic bag, pulling it over the kids' heads, and the straps were shoulder straps, right? And their bodies then were out through the bottom of the bag. I think that's it's interesting. I think it's a lovely memory to high vis all the way. Yes, another free high vis jackets at every Garda station. Okay. Now let's get to some of your announcements and requests. A sum of money was found on Tuesday outside Home Bargains on the Strand Road in Derry. We have a number of the person that found it. So if you happen to be listening from Derry, or you travelled into Derry and lost a sum of money, it was found outside Home Bargains on the Strand Road in Derry. We've got a telephone number here now to collect that. Margaret Anderson is in Stranraer. Hiya, Margaret. Hopefully you're listening. It's your 85th birthday today. Have a great day from your son Tony and daughter-in-law Wendy, and also from all your grandchildren. And Margaret Anderson in Stranraer, a very happy birthday too from me, Greg, and the team here, and everyone listening. And we always welcome your voice notes. Here's a request sent in to us.
Please could you wish Belinda and Seamus Sheridan happy 15th wedding anniversary from Mum Philomena and Sister Louise.
I see. So Caroline's high-speed settings actually affect the playback in here. Let me try that again, slowed down a little.
Please could you wish
1 second.
Belinda and Seamus Sheridan
Right, let's start that again.
Please could you wish Belinda and Seamus Sheridan happy 15th wedding anniversary from Mum Philomena and Sister Louise.
Well, you've done it yourself. Thank you so much for that. And if you want to send in your requests via voice message, it does feel a little bit more personal and special, doesn't it? 086 60 25,000. We're more than happy to accommodate them for you. So any wee messages like that, use our platform, because it's your platform. It is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday the 16th of October, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €10,400 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 42. The jackpot number is 49. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 4, 10, 27, 37, 67, 84, 61, 39, 66, and finally 7. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Darren knows these roads. He knows every turn, every tree, every person's house. He knows when he wants to put his foot down. But here's something he doesn't know. He doesn't know that Jim is searching for his phone and has taken his eye off the road, just around the corner ahead. Darren doesn't know this, but they're both about to find out very quickly. Even if you know the road, you don't know what's coming. Say no to speeding. A message from the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
You want a little treat but not chocolate or gelato? Check out this coffee that we made called Bravato. Sit and sip it slowly, or if you're in a rush, it tastes as good on foot or while you wait for the bus. Deliciously different. Get your new favorite cup. If you want some roasted goodness, come hit us up. Your taste buds have voted. They want a flavor that's goated. They are ready to thrive. Now Bravato's arrived. Deliciously different. Find your nearest store at bravado.com.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Ballybofey should attend the clinic in Jackson's Hotel on Thursday 16th. Making an appointment is recommended, so call 1-800-731-137 or visit our website to book your time. New donors are vital. Visit GiveBlood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details, because we count on you.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
So the Tip O'Neill Irish Diaspora Awards for 2025 are this Friday, the 17th of October, at the wonderful setting of the Inishowen Gateway Hotel in Buncrana, with three very distinguished recipients: Danny Hudson and Vincent Keaveney, and Eileen and Sean Donaghy. And we had Eileen and Sean on the show earlier in the week, and Danny Hutton was a guest on John Breslin's show as well. So I'm very pleased to say good morning to recipient Alderman Vincent Keaveney, CBE. Good morning, Vincent. How are you?
Good morning, Greg. Hello. Good to be on the show. Great to be talking to you.
Yeah, indeed. And you're still in the office, so you haven't made your way to Donegal yet, have you?
I'm on an early morning flight tomorrow. I'm on the Logan Air flight out from Heathrow tomorrow morning into Derry City, and spending the morning in Derry and then over to Buncrana in the afternoon.
Lovely stuff. Right, originally from Dublin, but very strong Donegal connections. Remind us, Vincent.
Well, my father grew up in Moville. He was the youngest of a family of 12 in Moville. He ended up in Dublin. I was born and grew up in Dublin. But yeah, strong Donegal roots. Donegal's always been a very important part of our family story.
Obviously, you know, you're well known as a very distinguished lawyer and a civic leader. How did you find yourself sort of in that line of work? Did you sort of study to match your ideology, your attitude, or did that come after you became a lawyer?
I was a lawyer I came over to my story very, very like many of Irish students. Qualified, came over to London, really just looking for a year or two of London experience before I went back to practice at the bar. I was originally called to the Irish bar in Dublin. That was in '89, and here I am, 36 years later, still here. I like a lot of Irish people. I fell in love with London and London life, and that was really what sort of kept me here over the years. But the city then, an involvement in the city of London, sort of happened almost by accident. I'm a firm believer, if you keep saying yes when people ask you to do interesting things, you never quite know where you end up, but very often it's in a good place. The late Peter Sutherland used to tell a story, the great Irish business leader and indeed politician. He used to tell the story that his father said, a bit of advice from his father, that if you're on the pitch and the ball lands at your feet, kick it. I think it's generally a good idea to kick it in the right direction, but I think there's something about that, just taking opportunities when they come.
Pardon my ignorance, but you've been, you're of great renown in terms of a more equitable and global competitive financial industry. But if I think of sort of the financial industry and big money and money changing hands and what have you, sort of words like diversity, sustainability, inclusion would not necessarily be the key words I would associate with that. So correct me and explain to me what you have been achieving and trying to achieve in this area, this sector.
One of the big focuses I've had, Greg, is around social mobility in the financial services sector. And that's, there's two elements to this. One is the moral case that, you shouldn't be held back by the jobs your father did, or the postcode, the accent you have. That's one element of it. But there's also a really strong business case to this as well. More diverse businesses make better decisions, stronger boards, better risk outcomes, better business outcomes. So I'm a strong believer in greater socioeconomic diversity, greater social mobility, particularly in the financial services industry, which I came over from what was Ireland in the 70s and 80s was a very different country, a lot poorer. There's a very flat society. I really didn't come across the whole class thing until I moved to England. And then in the city, you saw the impact that class can have on people's lives and outcomes years after they came to London. And I was very keen to do something about that, and was able in my year as Lord Mayor to put a focus on that. And I continue to chair an organisation called Progress Together, which focuses on this challenge, creating greater socioeconomic diversity in the financial services industry.
So when that works, what's happening?
Well, what you'd like to see is that people coming in from whatever background are getting to the top, into senior levels in their organisations, at the same pace as people who come in from more privileged, more higher socioeconomic backgrounds. And the stats we have, we do a lot of research into this, is even with the focus we've had over the last few years, That's not happening. That people coming into the industry from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, irrespective of performance, they don't progress to the senior levels as quickly as others. That's the challenge we've got.
Is that a greater challenge now? And I'm not saying this would be in this sort of DEI space, don't get me wrong, but there does seem to be something of a shift in terms of equality and fairness. Maybe that just applies to certain demographics, or is it across the board where people feel more emboldened maybe to, not be quite as fair as they might be?
I don't think I think there is, I think a lot of companies are probably feeling the political pressures, particularly the headwinds coming across in the States. If you're an operation that's got a big presence in the US, the political environment over there is difficult at the moment. Navigating that is going to be challenging. But that's why I push very hard on the business case for this. And one of the things I've been doing is getting senior leaders, people who lead big financial services organizations that feel strongly that this is the right business thing to do and the right moral thing to do, to get them to start talking about it. People like Debbie Crosby, who runs Nationwide Building Society, people like that, actually, once business leaders talking about this makes a big difference too, and it pushes back against that sort of narrative that you're describing, Greg.
What is the Sheriff of the City of London? That's a post you had from 2018 to 2019. Are you on horseback? Do you have a shield?
I did spend a day on horseback.
Okay.
Riding around the city, but that was only to raise a bit of money for a charity.
Right.
That
Okay, I wasn't too far wrong.
Wasn't part of the job spec.
Right. Okay. So what is the job? It's a very nice title, obviously.
It is a very ancient title. All the counties and cities in the UK have sheriffs or high sheriffs. They're all appointed. Ultimately, they're appointed by the Crown. The City of London, going all the way back to the 1200s, has elected its 2 sheriffs for the year. And that's one of the sort of ways that the city has sort of carved out a little bit of independence. And the sheriff today is there really supporting the Lord Mayor. You're there. The 2 sheriffs are really the Lord Mayor's wingmen. There to support the Lord Mayor, to help the Lord Mayor get the job done. You're based in the Old Bailey for the year as well, in the Central Criminal Court in the Old Bailey. You sort of live there Monday to Friday, which is that's the weirdest thing, but it's also sort of a wonderful thing as well, to be living in this extraordinary historic court building where all these amazing, extraordinary trials have happened over the years. But to be actually living there, my wife and myself and the dog, it was going for a wander around the Old Bailey. It's at 11:30 at night when there was nobody else apart from a few security guards there. It's one of those sort of slightly surreal experiences.
And does it afford you any privileges, historic privileges that aren't exercised any longer, or anything along those lines? Any little quirky?
There's not the office of sheriff. It's a very ancient office, but today it's largely symbolic.
Yeah.
But the office of Lord Mayor, which I went on to hold in 2022, and I was the first Irish citizen to hold that office. I was the 693rd Lord Mayor, but the first Irish citizen to serve as Lord Mayor. It really, I'm finding myself as Lord Mayor at a time. I was there on the steps of the St. Paul's Cathedral, greeting the members of the royal family as they arrived for the Platinum Jubilee service. Only weeks later, then, of course, we had the death of Queen Elizabeth II and the accession of the King, doing the proclamation of the King on the steps of the Royal Exchange in the heart of the city. Things like that. It was a real moments of national history for the UK, and to be doing it as an Irishman who turned up in London expecting to get a couple of years of city experience before he went back to Dublin. That was an extraordinary time in my life.
Yeah, indeed, and significant for the massive Irish population over there. Have you been able to, because I'm receiving a few messages that are talking of your importance within the community and working with the Irish community and people in business over there, does your position afford you that, and what kind of work have you been doing?
You're right, and one of the things that was really, really positive about that was the number of either first generation, second generation Irish living in London who came up to me and said, listen, we never thought we'd see an Irishman in the Mansion House. That sense that there's no door you can't walk through any longer in London. It's a really powerful thing. And for a lot of particularly the children of the Irish generation who came over in the 50s and 60s, I think that's really, really powerful, positive messages to get out there. That is behind us now. We are absolutely playing a part in UK society and in London society. So that was a really positive element to it. And of course, it's a great convening power. You can bring together when I, as Lord Mayor, I took office in November 21, and if you might thinking back then, it was a tricky old time in British-Irish relations. It was fairly chilly, but I tried to focus in on those positive things: is the sporting, family, cultural, business links that persist despite all the politics of the day.
So obviously, Sheriff of the City of London, Lord Mayor, CBE, and now Tip O'Neill Irish Diaspora Award winner. Where does the latter fit into these life achievements? This is a high honour, high recognition in your home country, Alderman. I'm not trying to put words into your mouth here, but when you got the call, how does it feel to get this recognition?
It's great. It really is wonderful, and that Donegal connection in particular with the family, with the links. I'll be seeing a few of my cousins tomorrow night in Buncrana. I'm great looking forward to that. My parents, thankfully, both my parents are still with us, so I'm looking at them. They're coming up to Buncrana tomorrow morning, and I know it's a huge thing for them. And celebrating these moments, those connections, particularly when it goes back to the family roots, it's really wonderful. And to be able to celebrate it with members of the family and with friends is just brilliant. It really is.
Well, congratulations for all you've achieved so far, this award and what you will achieve into the future. We really appreciate your time this morning, Alderman. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Look after
Greg.
yourself. Goodbye. That's Alderman Vincent Keaveney, CBE. He is a cousin of former TD Senator Cecilia Keaveney, by the way. So that's part of the family connection in the Moville/Inishowen area, and it's lovely for all of them. And congratulations once again. We had a brilliant reaction to Eileen and Sean Donaghy, by the way. You know, they might have plied their trade in Australia for the last 40 years odd, but they certainly haven't been forgotten with the connections that they had here at home and the connections that they made with people from home over in Australia. We had a huge reaction to that, and I know John had a great reaction to his Danny Hutton interview, and lovely to hear then from Vincent there. Okay, back with more shortly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Dunnes Stores is making dinner easier with brand new options like our delicious breaded chicken range. Choose from wings, bites or crispy tenders, all 100% Irish and available in flavours like southern fried or hot and spicy. Any two for €10. Or try our new ready meals with dishes like turkey meatballs and tomato ricotta pasta or Thai chicken curry. Any two for €8.50. Plus, you can save more with your €10.50 voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers can be used on next grocery shop.
Residential property owners, time is running out. You need the valuation band of your property and to submit your local property tax return by the 7th of November. The easiest way to submit your return is online through My Account, Ross or the LPT portal. For more information, visit www.revenue.ie/LPT or call 01 738 3626 if you need assistance. Submit your local property tax return today to ensure you don't miss the deadline.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
It's Ciara Leahy here, editor of Irish Country Living. We are just 1 week away from our Women in Agriculture Conference. Join us next Thursday, the 23rd of October at the Radisson Blue Hotel Sligo for a day that celebrates women shaping Irish farming and rural life. Hear inspiring voices from Nevin Maguire, Evelyn Cusack, Daniel Davey and our keynote speaker, Mary Martin, wife of An Taoiseach Micheál Martin. Tickets are selling fast. Don't miss your chance to join us for a great day out. Read more in this week's Irish Country Living in the Irish Farmers Journal.
Milford Tiles massive 2-day sale, Friday the 17th and Saturday the 18th of October. 20% off tiles, 15% off bathware, 5% off wood flooring. Freestanding baths only €756. Toilets €149. Shower doors from €220. Don't miss the sale of the century. Milford Tiles at Milford Retail Park. Call 083 091 0707 and ask for Johnny.
Every great moment in history begins somewhere. I believe in superhumanity. The words of Aaron D'Souza, president of the Enhanced Game, when speaking at the second conference on human enhancement at Oxford University last December. The lucrative Enhanced Games are hugely controversial, and Shane Ryan, one of Ireland's most decorated swimmers this week, became just the 11th athlete to announce his intention to participate. And I wanted to get the views of Patsy McGonigal, former Ireland Athletics team manager. Patsy, thanks for joining us. I really do appreciate your time.
No problem, Greg.
Shane Ryan's on the record saying this is a financial decision, but this is going to eclipse all he managed to achieve clean in the sport, surely. What's your views on the Enhanced Games?
Well, obviously from Shane Ryan's point of view, it's going to seriously impact on his legacy as a great swimmer. Just for the public out there. Shane Ryan, three times Olympian, obviously, and in addition, he was the one Irish guy that got a medal at World Championship level. So he was, and that's his legacy right now. But now joining this new, what I would describe as show business group in Las Vegas, it's definitely going to big time impact on his legacy. What do I think about it? Well, the word show business, the fact that it's based out of Las Vegas nearly tells you what it's all about. Really, it's a financial scenario. It's a games that they intend to hold next May. It'll work over 4 days. It involves weightlifting, it involves athletics, and it involves swimming. So three sports, three major main sports, and very difficult to understand. But there is a parallel argument, I suppose, that it's finance as well. Shane Ryan is at the end of his career. He would be very unlikely to make another Olympic Games, and he probably making his case, he would find himself financially. So what do I do next? And he has this opportunity, and there is big money involved.
There is, but it's also really, you have to think about it, do you not, in terms of sort of sport and athletics more broadly speaking, because now you're going to have these asterisk world records, and they're actually giving bonuses to anyone who can beat world records in certain disciplines and what have you. And I'm just wondering, if you're now dropping your 12 or 13 or 14-year-old off at training, and asking them to slug it out for nothing more than personal pride and achievement, and their heroes are taking enhancing drugs and competing. I think someone, if you loved athletics, you'd probably have to, or swimming, you probably have to look at it and go, like, morally, is my financial gain worth potentially what I'm doing to everybody else?
Well, it's personal to him, obviously, but from a sporting perspective and from people who are involved in sport in the normal world, this doesn't wear. It absolutely does not wear. It's not only should they break a world record, they won't be recognised. These guys are going to be, they are allowed to take in that sphere that they're in. They're not subject to any anti-doping, and that suggests that they're going to be taking drugs. The only thing that the American drug laws prohibit them from taking is cocaine and heroin. So basically, they'll be on EPO, they can be on growth hormones, they can be on all the stuff that will enhance performance, and the records will not be ratified regardless. So AMBI will be suspended. They will find it very difficult to get jobs in sport beyond this games. So this is where I'm coming back to. Really, it's show business really at an extreme end, and in terms of sport and taking advantage of sport to a point. And it says something as well that the people that are involved are very well-to-do tech kind of guys. The guy from PayPal, Donald Trump's son-in-law, or son. These are the kind of guys that are involved. So it's a bit of a. It is, again, I'm using the word show business, but it is an unfortunate development, and it's no example. It's absolutely 100%. These guys have wrecked their reputations, really. Shane Ryan will now be known as the guy who went off to this instead of what he really, really achieved, the big time stuff that he did achieve. And the example that he gave to young kids, that's now blown out of the water,
Yeah, and I'm not saying Shane Ryan ever did anything wrong, and he's been on the record saying that when he was competing, he was 100% clean, right? But in the back of my head, though, I can't help but I'm not doubting him for a second, and I certainly wouldn't make any libelous accusations. But there's somewhere in the back of my head is like, it just again sticks a question mark in different places. The idea behind this too, though, I think from these people is to normalise this. And we're talking in advance of the first games. Is it possible that it gets to the scale, that you attract the names, that you attract the viewing figures, that you attract the razzmatazz, that it actually starts to eclipse the clean, real sports? We've seen it a little bit in boxing. It's not about drugs, right? But some of the biggest contests now have been old guys coming out of retirement when they probably shouldn't be fighting, a 59-year-old Mike Tyson, for an example, or people who've got no boxing experience at all taking the main event spot that ordinarily would have gone to another boxer. I'm just wondering, is it possible that if this does grow as these millionaires and billionaires want it to do so, that it will start to impact regular swimming, regular athletics, regular weightlifting?
Well, it's funny when this became public, obviously because of Shane Ryan. Really, Greg, that was exactly the thought that struck me. It's basically an indication of the world that we're living in, and and you've cited stuff from boxing. To me, it's an indication of the world. This something different, something sexy to a point. It's just something out of this world. Trying to hit on people, and it's unimaginable. Yet we just don't know where it's going to end. And you've summed it up very, very well, because we just don't know. Because these guys have money, these guys can promote it, these guys can push it, and they may be patient, and they may stick with it, and it could. But look, you would hope above all, and hope that sport would remain as is, and human endeavour would be rewarded.
I'm just wondering if there's two events on at the weekend. One is people on enhanced drugs with loud music and smoke machines and 500 grand up for grabs, and the other is 7 guys or girls on hopping into the water. Just for the regular records and personal achievement. Where do the eyes of the public go? That's a problem.
That's a problem. That is a problem, and I suppose, we would hope that it would die a death. That's most definitely where you're at, because bringing science into it at that level and so on is just, as I say, I use the word unimaginable, because the world that we live in, the world that we compete in, the world that everybody in all world recognized sports compete in, there is an idiom there, and you would hope that would continue, and that this wouldn't just kind of mess things up.
Yeah, we'll see.
And so on.
I talked about the celebrity boxing, the Saudis with their golden ball in snooker, the Live League in golf. Obviously no one should necessarily have a monopoly on things, and we have to see how things advance, like darts, for an example, right? But this is just going in a different area and following a model that has proven successful, and I feel this is going to be successful. And once it's normalised, you see, then the argument is that regular athletics or swimming or weightlifting is boring. Do I want to see someone lift 600 kilograms above their head, or do I want to see someone lift 350 kilograms above their head? I don't know anything about weightlifting. I'm pulling numbers out of my head, but anyway, we can only watch and see if the truth be told, Patsy. All right, listen,
absolutely.
Lovely to get your insight into it. Thank you so much indeed, Patsy McMonagle there. And just to talk of some of the money that's involved here, excuse me, please. This is an event, by the way, that's penciled in for May of next year in a big resort in Las Vegas, a purpose-built arena. That's the type of money that's going around. So each event will have a prize pot of $500,000, $250,000 awarded to the winner of each event. If a world record is broken, right, so this is where it sort of starts encroaching into regular sport. So if a record is broken, a world record is broken in the 100-meter sprint track, right, or the 50 meters freestyle swimming, the winner gets $1 million. So, you know, I mean, obviously with endorsements and sponsorship, right, some athletes are doing well, but you could be a second level athlete who can run, you know, 10.3 clean in the 100 meters. Do you say, stuff this, I could win $1 million getting on the juice and running in you know, a 0.01 of a second below the world record and getting $1 million? It's just going to be kind of potentially the death of 1,000 cuts of clean sport. I hope not. I do hope not. But unfortunately, I've seen how big money coming into other sports, it can affect it, and it can ruin it. It can begin to ruin it. But then again, you see they're appealing to a new YouTube generation, you know, TikTok generation. Not me. They're not looking to get my eyes on the sport, I don't think.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
The Peugeot sales event is here November 1st to 9th, with fantastic offers on the Peugeot electric and hybrid range, including the 2008 SUV, Fastback 3008 and spacious 7-seater 5008. Enjoy a €500 Dunnes Stores gift card, a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty, and for electric cars we'll add a free 3-year service plan and a home charger. Order your 261 Peugeot today at McGinley Motors, your main Peugeot dealer in County Donegal. Terms and conditions apply.
Sweeney's Late Night Pharmacy in Letterkenny are celebrating their first anniversary with great offers in store. Boost your immune system with savings this week on natural supplements and probiotic remedies, all with gentle organic ingredients. Sweeney's Late Night Pharmacy at Crossview House, Port Road, Letterkenny. Open daily until 8 p.m, Fridays and Saturdays until 10.
Granny, did you hear what I said?
If you've been saying, what was that? A bit more lately, it might be time to have your hearing checked. At Connect Hearing, we don't just fit hearing aids, we help you hear life again. From tiny in-the-ear styles to Bluetooth connected devices, we fit the best solution for you. Call 074 911 3296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
You value healthy choices in season and on their plates with Lidl Plus. The delicious crunch of the crop. Fresh broccoli 44% off, now 89 cents. And leave them bursting with joy with juicy white grapes 41% off, now 169. Lidl, more to value.
This week, Highland Motors are going the extra mile by offering 0% finance or a €250 service voucher on all pre-owned cars. It's for 2 weeks only, and there's up to €5,000 in savings on certain models. That's until Friday, October the 24th at Highland Motors in Letterkenny on all pre-owned cars. Some terms and conditions apply. See the selection available at Highland Motors or call the sales team on 912877.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in-store or shop online at mcelhinney's.com today.
All right, dry, mostly dull today. Temperature is 12 to 13 degrees. Now, a century tomorrow, Friday, the 17th of October, 1925, the Boundary Commission, which was established as part of the 1921 Anglo-Irish Treaty, delivered its final report with regards to the decision regarding the changes of the border between the 6 counties and the Free State. Our historian in residence is Dr. Joe Kelly. He's with me now. Good morning to you. Joe.
Good, Greg, agus the luck good morning to yourself and to all listening in Highland Radio.
So was the Boundary Commission established just to divvy up north and south?
Technically, you're correct, but it was more than just that. Really, one has to go back to the Third Home Rule Bill in 1914, and Home Rule was on the cards for Ireland, and it would be given by 1914. The third Home Rule Bill was 1912, and it would become law within 2 years. So Home Rule was coming to Ireland for the first time since 1801. Ireland would have its own government. It would still be part of the United Kingdom, but it would have its own government. And World War II broke out, and basically the British government said, well, look, we can just hold back there in Ireland. We need to have this war sorted out, and when the war is sorted out, we'll come back and discuss the Irish question. But in the meantime, because there was a 2-year delay between the law being passed in 1912 and it being supposedly implemented by 1914, the unionist community said, no way, we don't want Home Rule. So basically, they started a campaign where they imported arms, they set up the UVA, the Ulster Volunteer Force, they signed the Ulster Covenant. 471,000 men and women signed this covenant saying, we do not want Home Rule. In fact, 17,000 people in Donegal signed this covenant saying they didn't want Home Rule. And so they organised themselves. In the meantime, 1916 happened, and this southern, mostly Catholic areas, mostly nationalist areas saying, no, we don't even want Home Rule, we want a republic, we don't even want to be part of the British Empire. So when we get to the other side of World War II, 1918...
World War One. That's World War One, isn't it?
Sorry, World War One, my apologies. At the other side of World War One, in 1918, the whole political perspective had changed in Ireland. And so not only had that changed, but also in England, Asquith, who was the Prime Minister pre-World War, was replaced by Lloyd George, a Conservative. So the Liberals had been changed by the Conservatives, and Lloyd George and his Conservative Party were very much in the Unionist camp, and basically seen to it that the unionist voice in Ireland would be looked after first and foremost. And then the side effect of that would be, will we look after the nationalist after that? So basically we're coming into, you're talking about 100 years. The idea was that they would look at the border again and see how it was going to be divvied up.
Prior to this, there was no border at all. It was the one island of Ireland and always had been.
Always had been and always should be. And again, I always go back to Wolfe Tone, the greatest Irishman, according to Patrick Pearse, that ever lived. Talked about the United Irishmen, where it was both Protestant and Catholic. You know, that there was none of this division. We were united, even though we were different. And what really happened was Carson, who was actually an Irishman and was a unionist, ran a brilliant campaign, particularly in the 6 counties. His idea was, well, we're not going to get a situation where we're going to have no Home Rule, so there is going to be some Home Rule in Ireland. So what can we do as a unionist community? The best we can hope for is to have a part of Ireland not in the Free State.
So why Ulster then? Why that province? Why not sort of part of Connacht, Munster, Leinster?
Yeah, well, the first thing is that Carson himself was a Dublin man, but when you look to the population and statistics, the North, particularly the 6 counties, had a heavier Protestant population, and so it was an easy one, so to speak, that at least we look after that. But what people maybe don't realise, Tyrone, Fermanagh were majority nationalist, majority Catholic, massive swathes of South Armagh, of Down. Newry was 75% Catholic. So the idea was, Carson saying, look, we'll take 6 if we can get it. And the question then, why don't we take 9 counties? Because Ulster's 9 counties. Well, then that would mean that there would be, the Catholic majority would be 45% Catholic, maybe, and 55% Protestant in the 9 counties of Ulster. If they kept to 6 counties, it would be 65% Protestant and therefore 35% Catholic.
And
so that would make it more manageable.
And also, was that with one eye on the fact that we'll divvy this up to the point that if there ever came a situation where there was a poll, a border poll, or whatever it might be, that we would always have enough of a majority to maintain our 6?
That, and even something more sinister than that. And we'll see when Northern Ireland, the 6 counties, was set up, it was a Protestant state for a Protestant people. And please, I don't want to be in any way acrimonious with Protestantism and Catholicism. That's not my issue. I'm just talking as a historian. And we'll see when the Protestant state was set up for the Protestant people, they set up the B specials, and the policing was primarily to look after the Protestant people. They got rid of PR, which meant the first past the post, which meant that the Unionist always got elected, not the Nationalist, even though massive swathes, as I said, Fermanagh, Tyrone were majority nationalist. They started gerrymandering, where they carved up the nationalist areas and brought them into Protestant areas, and therefore made sure that the Protestant areas had the majority. This is the politics of the time. It was brutal what happened, absolutely brutal. And look, there's nothing nice about this part of our history, but the border was drawn to the benefit of Lloyd George's pandering to the Unionist community. And it didn't work out for both sides. And I have to say this as a progressive Republican. The Unionists in Donegal, for example, Protestant people in Donegal were abandoned and thrown into the south. And so what? We don't care about you, long as we've got what we have. And nationalists were left in the north and abandoned. And so we don't care about you either, because we've got what we want.
Do we have any evidence? And I will go back, by the way, just want to leap forward while this question's in my head. Was there any evidence of a period of time where there was a movement of, Protestants from, either the rest of the Ulster counties or the rest of Ireland, for that matter, or sort of nationalists going, right, this is what's coming down the track. We're culturally quite similar to people in Donegal. I'm going to move over there. So did once it was agreed, and I will go back to that question, once it was agreed, did we see a movement on any scale that's recorded of people of different religions or unionism or republicanism moving between the Republic and the six counties?
Well, yeah, people physically did move. And for example, in Fermanagh, many unionists were moved in, many nationalists moved out. So the demographics changed there, even though initially the nationalists were in the majority. So there were movements of people, absolutely. Like the RIC was disbanded in 1922, the Royal Irish Constabulary, and some of those who served in the, so to speak, 26 counties moved into the north and became members of the RUC, the Royal Ulster Constabulary. So there were movements, and one has to understand, and I say this as a person living in Donegal, we as a county have suffered terribly, not just as nationalists, but also the Unionist Protestant community have suffered terribly, and it's something in history that has been ignored. So, for example, you're a Unionist living in this county in 1920, and you had gone out and fought in World War I for king, for country, for the Union Jack, and that was their culture, that was their heritage. And now all of a sudden a border was drawn, and you were no longer a citizen of the Empire or of England, and you now had to become a citizen of the Irish Free State. And your birthright, in a way, was being denied to you, something that you'd grown up to, have been used to all your life, and then all of a sudden, in 1920, that was taken from you.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the rest of the country. That I understand where you're coming from. They had to sacrifice an entire portion of the land, but it's like everything. There's always losers and winners. Dr. Joe Kelly, can you stay with me after 11?
I can.
Okay, because Caroline always seems to magically think we can fit this entire conversation into 12 minutes, and Caroline's always wrong. No, she's always right. Okay, we'll be back with Joe Kelly. Joe, grab a coffee or something at 2 minutes past 11. A quick break, then the news, and lots more to ask Joe Kelly about the 100th anniversary of the Boundary Commission being established. And I suppose acting out what we know today.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
It's the Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Stores nationwide. Sale extended until Sunday.
Ireland's move to a cleaner energy future is happening right beneath your feet. With a gas network that's carrying more renewable gas, bringing you more sustainable energy in an easy, reliable way. Gas Networks Ireland, moving Ireland's energy.
shower, teeth, clothes, coffee, keys, car, drive, work. Shower, teeth, clothes, coffee, keys, car, drive, work. Shower, teeth, clothes, coffee, keys, car, drive, truck!
You never know what's coming. Slow down on rural roads. A message from the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
Shop Homeland's October mega deals now until October 21st. Save 10% off all regatta jackets, 10% off Snickers trousers and shorts, save 15% off all bird tables and feeders, and save €10 off Dulux Final Matte or Soft Sheen Pure Brilliant White 10-litre paint. All this and more in store and online at homeland.ie.
If you are a victim or survivor of sexual violence, you do not need to suffer on your own. Help is available to you. We spoke to Niamh from the communications team in Coon about supports available to all victims of sexual violence.
We want all victims and survivors of sexual violence to know that support is always here for them. You don't need to deal with this on your own, regardless of when it happened.
If you are looking for help and support in relation to sexual violence, contact your local Sexual Violence Support Centre on 1800 448 844.
Join us in store at McElhenney's Department Store this Saturday 18th of October from 1pm for our Heritage Redefined event and the official reopening of 3 of our departments with live music, exclusive discounts, giveaways and more. We hope you can join us as we begin a new era at McElhenney's this Saturday from 1pm.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And Joe Kelly's still with us. We'll chat to him after we get the news headlines. And it's good morning once again now to Katie Gillen.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A judge has ruled the trial of Soldier F will continue. It follows an application by the defence to have the case dismissed. The ex-paratrooper is accused of 2 murders and 5 attempted murders on Bloody Sunday in Derry in 1972 and has pleaded not guilty. Former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern says he's supporting Heather Humphrey's presidential campaign. The former Fianna Fáil leader had hoped to run for the party in the presidential election but was not nominated by the leadership. Catherine Connolly is ahead by 18 points according to an Ipsos BNA poll in the Irish Times this morning. Residents in one estate in Letterkenny are said to be fighting for their safety because of the behaviour of some motorists. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh has called on Donegal County Council to examine the possibility of installing additional traffic calming measures in the Ashlon estate. The local authority has confirmed that it has been in contact with the representative of the Residents Association and an assessment will be carried out. A post-mortem will be carried out on the body of the teenage boy who was killed during a violent incident in North Dublin. The 17-year-old, who it's believed was from Ukraine, had been staying at a two-site care facility in Donamead. Another boy was also injured while a care worker was hurt when she tried to intervene. A new report has found systemic failure in Northern Ireland schools' estate management with a bill of up to £800 million for outstanding repairs and maintenance. The Assembly's Public Accounts Committee launched an inquiry May this year, with officials from the Department of Education and the Education Authority giving evidence. PAC has published a report today following the completion of the inquiry, which also found backlogs relating to statutory remedial works estimated to cost around £29 million. And finally, people in Donegal are being reminded to report the use or sale of fireworks to Gardaí. They're reminding the public that it is illegal to possess, supply or light fireworks or throw a lit firework at a person or property. The penalty for these offences is a fine of €10,000, 5 years imprisonment or both. Gardaí say the use of fireworks can cause injury, distress to people and animals and damage to property with fire. That's all from the newsroom for now. We'll be back with another update at 12 o'clock.
Thanks, Katie.
Some things you love shopping for. Home insurance? Oh, not so much. But peace of mind matters. And with An Post Insurance, you get quality cover, great value and protection for your home and its contents. And right now, if you get a new home policy, you could win a €1,000 voucher for Woodies. For something you'll actually enjoy shopping for. Get a quote today at onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. See onpostinsurance.ie/promotions. Competition closes end of month. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as An Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post.
Right, we're in the company of historian Dr. Joe Kelly because a century tomorrow, Friday the 17th of October 1925, the Boundary Commission delivered its final report with regards to the decision on changing of the border between the 6 counties and the Free State. So, Dr. Kelly, back to 2021, right, and the terms of the Anglo-Irish Treaty, did that pave the way for Ireland to be split as such, or what? Like, so what was in that Anglo-Irish Treaty that led to the Boundary Commission being established, and effectively, obviously, denying a united Ireland?
Yeah, so see, in 1920, the Government of Ireland Act was placed by Lloyd George, and it became law, which basically cut the 6 counties off from the rest. And in the Government of Ireland Act of 1920, which predated the treaty you're on about, the plan was to have 2 governments in Ireland, one in Belfast, one in Dublin, and that eventually, after 7 years, these 2 governments would come together. And in the meantime, there'd be a kind of council for Ireland established, where there'd be equal numbers from the north and from the south, forming an overall arching government. That was the plan of 1920. And Lloyd George had the opinion, well, this now sorts out the whole Irish question and everything's grand. But when it came to the treaty negotiations of 1921, what we were offered was 26 counties, because the north now the 6 counties had been established. And Collins and the men that were negotiating were saying, hold on a minute, what about the 6 counties? You're giving us 26. And Lloyd George basically lied. He says, look, take the 26, and sure, the 6 will come back to you eventually. It was never intended, supposedly, to be a permanent border. And that's what was in the Government of Ireland Act. So the treaty, the 1921 treaty, trumped or overcame the 1920 treaty. And so in that were Articles 12, 13 and 14, which were to look at the border at some later stage. But obviously, as we know, a civil war broke out. Collins had said, look, take the 26 and we'll fight for the other 6. De Valera says, no, we want a 32. And we ended up having a civil war. So in the meantime, the issue of the border, the 6 counties, it really consolidated. The civil war consolidated the 6 counties. And Tyrone, which is a majority Catholic, Fermanagh, majority Catholic, they were just abandoned because we were busy fighting with ourselves. So now you come to 1923-24, Cosgrave, who's the president of the Irish government at that stage, instigates through the British government saying, look, we want this border commission that is in the 1921 treaty to look at the border. And this is where what we're coming to, the border commission, which is 100 years old tomorrow, the report. They were given a job to go and to define or relook at how this border should actually be. So in other words, it was a relooking at the border based on the 1921 treaty. I don't know if that explains it.
No, it does. So officially then, when did the border become official then?
Well, it didn't become the existing border.
Yeah.
Really, it didn't become official until 1999 in the Good Friday Agreement.
Wow, okay.
But if you want to go back to the fact that it was an understanding, goes back to 1923.
Yeah, that's the understanding, but I'm on about it sort of being officially recognised. Just back to about the divvying up of the space. Was there any discussion about, actually redrawing the boundaries of counties, if you know what I mean? Like, was that a factor at all? Do you know, whereby you talked about a majority
Yes.
nationalist areas?
Yes.
Was there any conversation about, well, we could carve Fermanagh up, for an example?
Yes. Well, I just maybe run through the statistics. Armagh was 45% Catholic. Down was 31% Catholic. Fermanagh was 56% Catholic. Parts of Derry, what they call Londonderry City at the time, was 56% Catholic. County Londonderry, the whole county, was 41% Catholic. And Tyrone was 55% Catholic. So there was a very sizable majority of Catholic and nationalist communities in the existing 6 counties of the time. And so, like had happened after World War I throughout the whole of Europe, borders were redefined, countries were redefined. And so what they did was they set up boundary commissions. This was the practice internationally. And it was in the 1921 treaty that we too would set up a boundary commission in Ireland. But from the start, it was ill-fated. It was never going to work because it was based on the wrong principles. It should have been independent people from outside Ireland, England, and Northern Ireland that should have drawn this boundary. But what happened was they appointed three people. One was, so to speak, an independent man called Richard Fettman. He was a High Court judge from South Africa, but he was British born and he had major ties with the British establishment, particularly the Conservative Party. And all the judgments he made, there was three men on the commission, the Border Commission, one from Ireland, Owen McNeill, one from the north, Joseph Robert Fisher, and then Fettman. But Fettman was the chair, and every decision he made was pro-unionist. So, for example, you asked the question, could counties come back out to the north? He said no, only parts of counties into the south. He said that, for example, for areas in in the north to come into the south, they needed to be 80% Catholic to come back into the Free State. But only 60% threshold was required for Protestant communities to go into the north. So basically, he wasn't balanced and he wasn't fair. Fisher at the same time was representing the unionist government of the north, and not an inch. They weren't going to give nothing away. And then, unfortunately, and he was a very honourable man, but he was pretty useless. Owen McNeill, we may know him from the countermandering order of 1916. He was the Minister for Education, a very well educated, learned man, but he wasn't up to this. He was too slow in understanding the dynamics and the politics. And from the start, we were, as a nationalist,
on the back foot.
We were in the back foot, and basically they sold us up, and they sold us up so well. And if you read the report, and the sad thing, Greg, is history repeats itself. And I do honestly believe that this border poll that's been proposed will end up the same way as this boundary commission. It is so tedious with misinformation, and I don't trust a border poll. It's not going to work because the regulations, if you read actually into the Good Friday Agreement, it is very, very vague. And even if the majority of the nationalist community in the north vote to rejoin the south, it is up to the British government to decide whether that is acceptable or not.
Yeah, but we have seen them cede different areas, Falklands, Hong Kong, other areas around the world. Would they not generally have a reputation at this point of following the will of the people? You're shaking your head. I don't know.
Not sure. Look. We need only to look at the recent thing of the Brexit. Sure, they broke an international agreement then because it didn't, and they will break this again.
Right.
And all in fairness, and I don't want to be just.
But I just don't really think London's that interested in Northern Ireland to put up a fight for it.
But it's not about putting up a fight for it. It's the politics of it, and it's the Britannia rules, the waves idea, and we can, so we will. I don't trust them. I've never trusted the English when it comes to negotiations. And we need only even look at Bloody Sunday, how Lord Savile tried to cover up that report, and initially, and then we had to come along later. Sorry, the Savile report unearthed it, but the initial report was very much, it was A to blame and everything. Truth is not something that lies with the British establishment, and it's something that I wouldn't trust them. And you mentioned Hong Kong, and this is Neil T. Blaney politics, and people in Donegal will know this. There must be a declaration of intent to withdraw. Let's work towards a date, not towards a majority. And let's get serious about this. And everything is on the table. And I say this as a nationalist, as a Catholic, as a Republican. The unionist Protestant community, both sides of the border, we have to find a way for them to still identify as British.
I get you, but the demographics of this country is such, and I presume it would be a countrywide poll, the demographics of this country are such now that the actual deciding factor probably won't be Catholics or Protestants. Or certainly unionists or Republicans, if I could put it like that. There's a massive swathe of people now that are not originally from this country. There are those actually who are Catholic but would prefer life in the north under Protestant rule. The Alliance have been increasing in popularity. It is not an orange and green conversation now at all. And then we haven't even had the conversation about the. There's been reports about financial burdens and all that kind of stuff, but can we get anyone in Galway, Cork, Kerry, Louth, not Louth, but, to actually care enough to even engage in this conversation in a meaningful way? They'll hear voices saying that, now this will mean such and such per euro of income tax or this, that and done. the conversation isn't going to be about nationalism, unionism, Catholic and Protestant. It's going to be about people with moderate views, people that have no interest, that have only just come here, and money and infrastructure and jobs and the size of the civil service in Northern Ireland, where you'd get your cancer treatment, all this kind of stuff. That's the real convo, not necessarily the terms of the Good Friday Agreement or what have you. We have not even began, in my view, to have the proper conversation about what will be the deciding factors in any future border poll on this island, Joe, I think.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I couldn't but agree 100%. I think it's very insightful, everything that you've said there. I'm not a geographical Republican that we have United Ireland, just a geography, a circle around a map, and that the border's gone, because that's going to achieve absolutely nothing. But I wanted to go back to the Secretary of State of Northern Ireland, 1923, Wilfred Spencer, and this ties in with what you said. His wife kept a diary, and she was talking in 1923 as she was driving around what was then Northern Ireland, how, and this I just quote, "It gave one a strange feeling to see a country so unnaturally and geographically divided, like seeing a living creature cut in two. As a nation, as a country, we've been cut in two since 1920. And the issue is about how we heal that cut. And therefore, everything has to be on the table. And it's not about one side trumping the other side. And that's a massive conversation. And like, if we can spend upwards of $4 billion a year on migrants coming into our country, surely to God, we could think about the people that we've abandoned in the north. We have abandoned, as a free state, we abandoned the people, nationalist community of Northern Ireland. The fact that Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil never even contested an election in the 6 counties and left the Catholic community abandoned. We got what we wanted, and to hell with them. And that's unfortunate. And the same can be said equally for the Unionist and Protestant population, particularly here in Donegal.
Okay, on that point, what we see and we've seen this actually develop in our numerous conversations over the years, that the way people feel right now is it's nothing new. It's often based in history, or it often goes back. Our attitudes, whether we vote certain ways, whether we're rebellious, and all that kind of stuff, right? So Donegal for a long time was felt abandoned by Dublin, isolated, a tiny little strip, didn't get the attention. Yet, Donegal was negotiated for, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe the Free State, it was on the table. If you want to take Donegal. I don't know. But obviously, then we had no one looking out for us from a Belfast perspective. So, in the intervening years between, say, from 1921 till now, was there any political pushback, be it from the Unionist community or the community generally in Donegal, to say, right, okay, well, this is the new setup, right? But where are we in this space? Or maybe it was just Unionists seeking to become part of the union, as they'd seen it. So, did anything happen over the following years, sort of politically in that area, or even just sort of from the ground up?
Yeah, well, initially, for example, in Donegal, the Protestant community, particularly then close to the border, lost out a terrible lot financially as farmers. So, for example, there was the famous Derry Donegal milk wars. So when the 6 counties was formed, the Northern Ireland government then made regulations regards milk. So the Protestant farmers of Donegal would normally go to Strabane with their produce, could now no longer go in there. And this led to a milk war. There was a very, very famous milk war. But so in 1934, over 7,000 people in Donegal in the border area signed a petition asking to be put back into or put across the border.
No, that's significant.
Very, very significant. And that was seen as treasonous at the time, and it was heavily investigated. And what really drove the Unionist community or the Protestant community in Donegal at that time was in 1932, De Valera came to power. And one of the first things he did was he got rid of the Governor General, and he also redefined us in their sense of our citizenship and removed the right to be a British citizen out of the citizenship of Ireland. And for many, that was a step too far, as I said to you, that had fought in the war, that had seen the king as their king, and now all of a sudden they were being excluded from their tradition or their family history in being connected with that. And one has to be respectful of that. I am a Republican. I'm not into that. but at the same time, you have to respect that. And they felt very aggrieved, so they signed a petition, but it got nowhere. It was ignored, and maybe fell on deaf ears. So there's two sides to this, and there's a lot of healing needed.
I think all of this too, it's a hangover from these times, is why certain things annoy me so much. Part of South Donegal being in Sligo Leitrim. I know this is political, right? It annoys the crap out of me. This line that's been drawn through Donegal from a media perspective, whereby, it's North and South Donegal. You saw back in the day when newspapers were selling well, two different papers, North and South. This line was established, splitting up the airwaves so that South Donegal was part of Sligo Leitrim, right? No radio station has successfully ever been able to cover the south of Donegal because the main populace is Sligo, and then you're trying to go, and you can't. They're culturally different people, they're all different. And I think that's why that annoys me, this media division and political division in Donegal. We're still being chopped up, carved up, and treated unfairly, in my view. Not in any way on the scale that we've been talking of up until now, but that division and divisiveness is still all over Donegal in 2025, and I would love to see that change. I would love the media. I would love us to be a county-wide radio station. The newspapers, they'd argue probably they are county-wide, but anyway, there was a time where two different papers were published. Give us our county back in that regard as well. Let people of Bundoran and Ballyshannon and Pettigo vote in the blooming elections for South Donegal.
Yeah, but it's look at the political elite that run this country have learned very, very well from their British masters of old. You divide. I mean, they divided us for 100 years, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, in the Civil War, and we took our eye off the ball. We took the eye off the ball when it came to the six counties. We took our eye off the ball when it came to economics and development. But long as we were on one side or another, the parties knew that they would get the vote. I think the younger generation have woken up to this. And I mean, they've divided us again, just even in the presidential election we have. They've given us no choice in real terms. And this is what they do. And you keep control. If you can divide what's below you, you keep control. And
what you mean by that is centre, left, really. That's the two options there. That's the political spectrum. Conservatism, sorry, snorting there. Centrist sort of conservatism is not represented on the ballot paper. That's what you're talking of there, isn't it?
Not necessarily. I don't think, I don't want to get into the presidential thing. I don't care what a candidate believes or stands for.
But you know for a fact where they are on that political line determines whether their policies align. I can't imagine you ever voting people before profit.
No, but what I could do is I could vote for anybody if I knew that they were a person of integrity. They may not be left or right or this or that. A president isn't necessarily.
But it's integrity as it vibes with you, though.
But for me, a president, and this is what is in the Constitution, is non-political. I want somebody with integrity, someone that is rooted, someone that has culture and heritage, someone that can unite.
You admire Michael D. Higgins. He's a Labour man.
I absolutely admire him, and I would be ideologically wouldn't agree with a lot of what he says. Okay. I admire things that are in Catherine Connolly. I admire things that are in Heather Humphreys. There's things that I don't like about both of them as well. But I'm always open to seeing the person in the round and the full. And it's the same when it comes to Northern Ireland and the six counties in our Ireland. It's interesting, Greg. The word diabolos in Greek it means to divide, which gives you the word devil. And anywhere you see division, so to speak, for the Greek mind, that's the devil, that's division. And where you see people divided, where you see a county divided, where you see a province divided, that's not good. There should be unity, union. And where there's union, there's a chance of peace, there's a chance of progress. And unfortunately, our history in Donegal is one that we were abandoned. Only 6 miles of Donegal touches the Free State. And if you go back to the 1925 report, which will be 100 years tomorrow, certain areas of Donegal from Muff into St. Johnson were to go back into the 6 counties, and certain areas were to come back out. 39,000 acres were to move from Donegal into the north, and then certain areas around Balik, Pettico, they were to come back out to us, and Fermanagh, they were all to move in and out. Okay. But the commission itself collapsed. It collapsed because the Cosgrave government of the time said, look, we're not going to give any of the 26 counties back in. That's not what was understood in this commission. We were to get areas back into our country, not give away
And
areas.
neither happened in the end.
And neither had, and it was squashed in
These
1968.
decisions were made 100 years ago, but even now, in terms of simply policing, the police argue for extra resources up here. We've got a water border to the left, a land, not a land border, but you know what I mean, a border to the right, and there's no extra resources, no extra provision, no nothing. That's just in the one issue of policing. Do not get me started on health. Dr. Joe Kelly, imagine why. Thank you so very much indeed. Have a lovely day.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
At Meehan's of Rafo, you'll find top brands like Diesel, Remus, Wrangler, Kenro, Mineral and Drifter. Huge selection of Diesel hoodies, quarter zips, chinos and footwear, with shirts and polos up to 6XL. Meehan's of Rafo, celebrating 55 years in business. Christmas Club now open.
Hey, got some old household electrical appliances or batteries lying around? Recycle them for free with We Ireland in partnership with Donegal County Council at our special collection day on Saturday 18th of October in Killybegs at the Shore Road car park from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll accept anything household with a plug or battery. See weaireland.ie.
Attention students, TFI Local Link bus services available nationwide can connect you to a wide range of colleges all year round. Save up to 50% on cash fares when you use your TFI Young Adult or Student Leap Card. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Les Miserables, the musical phenomenon, is touring the world in a spectacular new production. The Arena Spectacular comes to 3 Arena from May 29th to June 6th. Tickets from $33.65 go on sale Wednesday, October 22nd. May be subject to fees.
Thinking about changing your car? Making the change is easier than ever at Kelly's Toyota, thanks to Toyota Approved Used. Choose from our extensive range of used passenger and commercial vehicles, including 242 and 251 demo models at great prices. Tested and approved by Ireland's most trusted car brand. All our cars come with a 12-month comprehensive warranty with flexible payment options available. Talk to Kelly's Toyota today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
Workwear, workwear, workwear at Borderland Muff. Winter jackets, fleeces and hoodies at Borderland Muff. For fashion jeans and waterproofs, Borderland Muff. Christmas and Ski Wear Club now open. Stock in Columbia, Apache, Snickers and more. Open 7 days and online at borderlandmuff.ie.
Shekelatha ama Highland Radio. Arna Dortugat ag Airgrid. Uproar agus Forbor an go letrahas na Héireann. Airgrid. Pobl a guachtu, era a guachtu. Heshe.
It's 26 minutes past 11. I'm in studio now with Evelyn McGlynn, owner of Evelyn Marketing. Is it Evelyn McMarketing?
Yeah, Evelyn McMarketing. Yeah.
I never noticed that before. Until it was written down. Lovely.
Yeah.
So it's Evelyn McMarketing.
Yeah.
Right, and we're talking about the official launch of Donegal Giving. It's a not-for-profit initiative celebrating the spirit of giving in Donegal while creating an even stronger culture of giving, time, wisdom, knowledge, and opportunity. So, in terms of, you can. This is backed up with, the likes of Just Giving and other sort of websites, but also the stuff that we see from time to time. We are a very generous county, aren't we? Generous to each other, generous with our money, generous with our time.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the thing about it is Donegal Giving, I bought the domain about 8 years ago and has been sitting on this until now. And now is just, I believe, the right time to do it. So it's about celebrating the great culture of giving that is in the county. All the not-for-profits, the social enterprises, the whole day-to-day giving that we do as a people. But
so it's an umbrella term, really, isn't it?
It is.
It is donations, it's time,
yeah,
it's paying
and yet
it forward.
It's really not about money. It's the very least. Of course, there's going to be money involved at some stage because people give all the time to their their local football team, or they give to the charities or whatever. But it is really about, sort of, especially sort of time, talent, wisdom and opportunity with the 4 things. The 4 pillars we're looking at, but also then taken into giving to self and giving to the environment. So, as something in very simple terms to explain that is, if you go to your local charity shop, by going in the first place, you're supporting that charity. then you're giving them financial support. You're giving to the environment because you're recycling. You're possibly taking the gift and giving joy to somebody that you've bought something. And so this entire giving, it's not as in you're volunteering, which is completely different. And Donegal volunteering, we're going to send everybody there. They're going to be busy. But we're really sort of encouraging people to build a culture of kindness through giving.
Yeah, okay. So how do you see, we'll talk about the event itself. How do you see it working moving forward, Evelyn?
Well, that's a good question. And I suppose for the last, so how it really happened this year was Karen Murphy invited me to an event in ATU, and Una and Paul from the Civic Lab for Young People were sort of doing an event, and a spark was lit. And the idea of Donegal Giving and them together at this event would be a sort of a good union. And so I suppose I didn't actually realise what an immense goodwill there would be to the concept. And everything came together very quickly. So it's been almost like a feasibility study in the process since May. I thought maybe we'd have 30 or 40 people. It would be great, and people would start talking about it. I went to Richie in the theatre, and he said, absolutely, have the building. The food, the photography, everything, the video, everything came automatically. Said, absolutely, this is a brilliant concept. So where will it go? I really don't know. I think that it will be led by the people because it belongs to the people. It's a not-for-profit. At the minute, it's not a social enterprise. It's not a charity. It is just a group of people, from interns to good friends to people who've been dragged along to people who are excited about the concept. That the idea of giving more and giving, even in my own life and, in my 13 years in business, the amount of opportunities that I have been given, really, and referrals and just people that I hope that I've also helped along the way. So it will be to celebrate that going forward.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, because as I framed it earlier on, and it was accurately about how generous we are of our time, of our care, it is, sometimes it's reactionary, and really evidence elsewhere, it's almost like there's two lanes of traffic going here. Evidence elsewhere is that we are becoming a little bit more siloed, you know what I mean? That we're not as inclined to look out for each other.
Yeah.
Like when there's a crisis, we're fantastic, right?
Absolutely.
But in terms of being sort of proactive and living life in a certain way, focused on giving, maybe you really see that if you go to Boston or you go to Dubai or you go to Sydney, that real sense of community that's ever present. Yeah. But, sometimes you do have to go to see that. It's not as obvious here. London's the same.
Yeah, I think as well that sometimes we do need to stop in our tracks and think. We are, whether it's marketing departments or whatever, we're told eat 5 fruit and veg a day, check your tracker. How many steps have you done today? And if you say to somebody, did anyone ever ask you or tell you that you should give more and not money? And I keep saying it's not about money. Just in the terms of giving, there are wonderful people doing, but are you actually thinking about it? What are the different ways that we can give? And, you and I could sit here all day talking about them, everything in terms of giving respect, advocacy, giving kindness.
But I'm just more, I think really it's the consequences of it. I just wonder, say, for instance, if, something like this catches on, does that mean that we could have a space where people genuinely are more comfortable talking about their mental health, for an example? Do you know what I mean? That it creates an environment where, certain boundaries are actually broken down rather than us talking about constantly breaking them down.
Yeah, I think that there's an opportunity for people to talk about things that maybe that at the minute are a given or unspoken. And by the sort of the conversations already, I've got young interns who talk about how Donegal Giving will affect them and how opportunities may come their way, And again, it's business, it's community, it's not-for-profits. And even in terms of, if you break it down to the website itself, we will have the ability and the skills, hopefully, to celebrate all giving in a media sense. We will take happily any stories of wonderful giving on any levels And of course, that involves the organisations that you're talking about, you know, whether it be mental health or physical illness or, you know, all of the many different things that will be discussed.
Right, so the launch event, would you call it that? Or the beginning of the public journey?
Yeah.
It's on Thursday, November 6th. As you say, on Green On Theatre have been very giving of their facilities as well. They're hosting it. It runs from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So
It's 1:30 actually.
Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Lunch.
1:30. So what happens on the day?
Okay, so I mean, it was important to us that we had all of the sectors covered, you know, from the non-profit, the social enterprise, the students, the educator, the community groups, and just the individuals who have an interest in it. So we have a number of sort of leaders in terms of business and in community. We have a brilliant panel. So we have Eamon from Donegal Volunteers, who's going to talk about the whole volunteering process. We have Seamus from Relay for Life, who's going to talk about the great success in terms of giving there. We have Kristen, who will talk from a young professional, student, you know, working situation. And then we have Nicola from Country Home by the Sea from an influencer point of view or from a digital point. So they'll all be talking about that. We have Sylvester from Fintru, and we have Caroline Faulkner, who sort of leaders in industry, who will talk about how giving affects their daily lives and how they're giving in industry and in work. Then we're going to have sort of lightning talks. So we're going to have people like Liquid Therapy, Alzheimer's, you know, different organisations who'll just give us a sort of a brief look at what, you know, giving means. And overall for everyone, what it is, you know, how Donegal Giving can support their giving journey, how can it help them turn it more into a habit, what opportunities we can offer them in terms of free of charge.
I mean, you talked of opportunity too. Just yesterday, speaking to two great young lads from the Donegal Centre for Independent Living, we learned that in Donegal, you know, 30-odd% of people with a disability have a job. That's much lower than the national average, and the national average is much lower than the European average. Okay, so giving opportunity. I presume, you know, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about as well.
And they're there. They're actually there at the event. We have over 30 stands as well. So in terms of that. So again, it's just opening up the idea that we can all give on any level. And that, you know, sometimes if you see, you can be, you know, that saying, if you can see it, you can be it, or whatever it is. So for going forward, maybe one day this will just be a common word. Donegal Giving will be something that'll be automatically thought in the process. But certainly it's a proof of concept before we even start. We have 230 people coming along to this. And, you know, they're not really even sure. It's a curiosity, I think. They're not sure like that. What it's going to be when it grows up, we're not 100% sure.
Okay, well, the whole thing is launched on Thursday, November 6th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. We're broadcasting live from it as well too, which is great. You can book your position or your space there, as you heard from Evelyn. Many have already, hundreds have already. If you go to donegalgiving.com, you'll see the launch event along the top banner there, or wherever it might appear on your mobile phone, and you can first of all, read more about it, who's going to be there, and also satisfy your curiosity, potentially.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think it's so important to thank everybody, because when somebody comes up with any idea, sometimes the giving of support and the giving of encouragement is what moves them from one direction to the next. And certainly in this idea, it was swept along by the amount of people who said, this is a good idea. I like the idea of this. I want to be part of it. So I want to thank everybody and everybody that's booked. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you all on the 6th.
Okay, Evelyn McGlynn, owner of Evelyn McMarketing. Of course, we'll be talking about it in advance, flagging that we're going to be there. Thanks so much for calling in.
Thanks, no problem. Thank you.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
All innovative, all inspiring, all yours. Discover the Audi 261 range with Audi All Access at your local dealership. Join us at our nationwide open house event from October 17th to 24th and experience exhilarating test drives, unmissable offers, and exclusive product upgrades. Book a test drive with Audi All Access today. Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
Brian
McCormick Sports and Leisure Main Street Letterkenny. Just launched at BMC Sports is the new ASICS GT 2014. Offers pure gel technology and FF foam for that springy feel. New range of Kayano, Nimbus and Nova Blast for men and women. In-store and online. Get your safe size experience at Brian McCormick Sports Main Street Letterkenny or click on bmcsports.ie. Get your ASICS delivered free of charge. Christmas Club now open.
In Ireland, it can be hard to get enough vitamin D from the sun. But did you know that 90% of us also don't get enough vitamin D from the food we eat? Avonmore Supermilk is packed with goodness and fortified with vitamin D, which helps absorb calcium for healthy bones, so you can be at your best. We can't make the sun shine, but we can help you shine. Avonmore Supermilk, a super source of calcium and vitamin D. Figures based on 2023 FSAI report.
Angledy returns to On Green on Letterkenny Saturday, October 25th with a brand new show, Further Adventures in Womaning.
Usually, half the audience goes, but obviously, it's a very popular procedure in Letterkenny.
Tickets at ongreenon.com.
Autumn is here and so is your last chance to save. The annual Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday at Easy Living Furniture. Celebrate the sale of the season with huge reductions on all departments. From plush sofas and dreamy mattresses to eye-catching dining sets and stylish accessories. We have everything you need to make your home feel autumn ready. The Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry.
Join Paul McDevitt with the Saturday Shuffle, coming live from iMotors and Drumkeen, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. this Saturday. Your road to 261 starts here. It's the iMotors Open Weekend, October 16th to 19th. See the stunning 2026 Kia lineup, including the all-new EV4, EV5, K4, Stonic, Nissan Leaf and Juke. Pre-order before October 23rd for your chance to win €10,000. And this Saturday, enjoy free gourmet burgers from DL Burgers, 12 to 4 p.m.
Now, following on from our conversation with Dr. Joe Kelly, just to let you know that the Donegal Historical Society, they're holding a one-day conference on the Boundary Commission. It's on Saturday, the 8th of November, and it's in the Old Courthouse in Lifford, beginning at 9:45am. If you want more details on that, go to the Donegal Historical Society's Facebook page. So presumably they'll have a range of voices and lots of conversation there as well. Now, a petition has been launched to get Donegal County Council to fix the Backlone Road between Carrickmore and Ratteen. The road, I'm told, is essential for residents, the local farmers and even heavy goods vehicle drivers. Alice Lynch of Maggie's Tavern in St Johnston's with me now. Hi, Alice.
Good afternoon, Greg, and thank you for having us on. Thank you.
All right, so, I mean, obviously, to get to this point, you've been obviously talking about this in the local community for quite some time. You know, you don't just sort of go, right, everything's fine, and then the next day you start a petition. So historically, what's been the situation? What are you having to deal with?
Right, well, historically the road is only a small road, it's only a narrow road, and I suppose in years gone back, 50, 60, 70 years ago, there was never a need for a big road. But now, as we have moved on, there's loads of cars, there's loads of farmers, there's other businesses, and most especially there's children going to school, and they have to use that road. There is more cars in the road, and the road has not been moved on. So all we are looking for, very simply, is somewhere that you can pull in. At the moment, if you meet one car coming down the back lane and you're going up it, some one of those cars has to reverse a whole at least 400 metres back the way. So that's fine, but sometimes the road is that narrow that a good number of cars have fallen onto the one side, and this is where the problem is. Their underbody of their car is damaged. Now, that never goes anywhere, but as the car owner has to sort that out and square that up. But I have known a lot of people now that just won't use the car. If you were using Google Maps and you were coming from Letterkenny and you wrote on the Google Maps or put into it that you wanted to go to Carrickmore, it brings you that road.
That's what's going to be one of my questions,
So all we're looking for is something some two places for you to pull in, and then the other car can go past. It's not safe for to reverse 400 metres and then think then is there going to be somebody else coming. Like the whole thing has moved on from 50, 60 years ago, but that road has not been looked about with the council. And it's just to let the council know. If they don't know, how are they meant to know that it's not at all these problems are coming out? So for the last year or two, I was sitting thinking about it, talking about it, and others then were saying about it, well, why don't we do something about it? And then who wants to take the lead? But then it got that bad then that I said, okay, I'll take a lead, get a petition going. And if we have the petition going at the moment, I have about 500 signatures. And anybody that wants to join that petition, just to messages on our Facebook page, maggies.ie, and we'll email you over one. But it's just to make awareness that how dangerous it is, and the community had a photograph yesterday in the paper, and we're just trying to let the council know how dangerous it is.
So, I mean, the road surface middling, is it? I mean, obviously, you know, the sides of the road can always be cleaned up in terms of hedges and all that type of stuff. Is it the view of locals that spaces for pulling in would be sufficient, at least in the interim?
In the interim, spaces for to pull in and then to cut the hedge, but like just places to cut so that the cars could be at least pull in the meantime. That would be all we're looking for.
Okay.
And there is drains, and the reason why cars are falling into the hedge is because there's a big 3-foot drop, so that if you go on a wee bit to try and think that you're going to let somebody past, and then all of a sudden you see all the growth, so you think that there's clay there, but there isn't.
Okay.
It's just an open drain, so which is very dangerous.
Right. Okay. Well, the council
and
have
then
responded.
there is kids.
Yeah, the council have responded, and I'm not going to lie to you, it's a mixed bag. They say the Carrickmore to Reteam Road is a local rural road. As like other local roads, the characteristics does not permit two-way traffic, and vehicles yield to one another in a give-take manner. There are no plans, nor is there funding to widen the said road. Now, the community, they say, can submit an application to Donegal County Council following consultation with the executive engineer under community involvement schemes for the provision of lay-bys along the roads, which you've talked of. So really, your point of contact, by the sounds of things, is to make a submission to the executive engineer of Donegal County Council.
Yeah, well, we have sent on an email, and I have had no response, so that's the first time that I've heard anything regarding that, so which of course we welcome, and of course we will go through whatever systems they want, but they have not responded to the email that I have sent, and I did copy to Councillor Martin Harley, who acknowledged it. So the council hasn't been in correspondence yet, but that's great to hear that they have communicated through yourselves regarding that, so we can lead on and communicate with them.
Yeah, and it seems the community involvement scheme, you might get a favourable hearing in relation to that, but keep us involved in the conversation. Because, and I don't mean to blow my own trumpet or anything, but it does, Alice, make a difference, if you know what I mean. So keep us in the loop, and hopefully it's safer for all road users, including, as you were going to mention again, children going to school. They deserve a safer passage as is humanly possible with the infrastructure that's there. Alice Lynch, thanks for your time. She is, of course, of the famous Maggie's Tavern in St. Johnstone. Good news, by the way, I'm told it's good news, that a listener's down at Mount Errigal this morning for my weekly climb. Fair play to you. Now, the car park's being tarred, they say, so well done to Donegal County Council. So there you go. Apparently, the car park down at the Mount Errigal is being tarred. So that is good news.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Coltus, Ceoltarí Éireann a Leithir Cargus, I Celliúr na Gangal. Ihe specialta land the Heol, Aran agus Dausa, Jamarch and Ortu Lesfihe, Jerry Forward ag a Hort, in Erklan and Rianan, Letcher Canning, Mar Hodge da Doris Nashanta. Be a Leithir Hontahia El or na Ceoltarí, na Hauranihe, agus na Dausarí traditiona is far in Éireann, le Tractorat o Kiana Campbell, agus Jermit de Fuiche. Take your fuel on Buxa Offige, or see you Grace on the Hairclania, na o Wild de Ranche Letcher Canning de Holtus.
Discover the untamed charm of Ireland's West at the Radisson Blue Hotel and Spa Sligo. When the world quiets down, something inside awakens. Escape the ordinary, embrace the elements. Unwind in the award-winning spa and heated pool where romance and Atlantic beauty meet. Book your escape today.
Us pigeons see everything when we're flapping around up here. Well, almost everything. See, burning certain fuels releases invisible toxic pollutants, which can trigger asthma and lead to serious illness. So, if you're going to light a fire in your home, make sure to use low-smoke fuel. Oh, and never wing at burning rubbish.
Choosing low-smoke fuel is better for all of us. Let's clear the air for everyone. And remember to clean chimneys and heating appliances at least once a year. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
The future of driving is here. Hyundai are built for what's next, so you can step into tomorrow, today. With innovations in smart tech and style, Hyundai continues as a leader, selling the most plug-in and electric cars in Ireland. The future is today. The future is Hyundai. Step into the future of driving by visiting the Hyundai 261 Open Weekend.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny.
At iMotors, the road to 261 starts on the 16th of October. Join us for our open weekend, where we'll showcase the full Kia and Nissan lineup for 2026. On Saturday the 18th, grab a free DL burger on us. Any customer who pre-orders before the 23rd of December enters a chance to win €10,000. Exclusive at iMotors. Swing by our open weekend and drive into the new year in style.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, mainly dry, mostly cloudy, just a few limited bright to sunny spells, maybe a few isolated patches of drizzle and mist. Temperatures today 11 to 13 degrees. Great to hear Vincent Keaveney on the radio earlier, a great supporter of young Irish business people in London and a huge encouragement to them. Congratulations on your well-deserved award, Doreen and Cyril Kennedy in Letterkenny. In relation to the defective concrete block scheme, shocking news this morning that Pat the Cope Gallagher and Charlie McConnell turned the back on the very people they depended on to put them into their jobs. Typical attitude of, I'm all right, Jack, who cares about the minions? Well, you knew their positions coming up to the elections, you know, and you knew the positions of all parties and none. Really? So they were given that mandate. Road safety. This year the clocks didn't go back. We had to walk. Sorry, the year the clocks didn't go back, we had to walk to school in the dark. We were all issued with armbands to keep us safe. And the clocks are going to be going back again soon, aren't they? Is it time we got shot of that, really? Right, now, Micheál is with me now. Good morning, Micheál. Thanks for your time, Micheál Brennan. People know you, of course. What's the crack?
Great. Not so bad. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We had a caller earlier on talking about the speed van in Glentees. It's on the main street, is it, Micheál? You're familiar with this. What's your views on it?
Yeah, well, it comes just as far as I'm concerned, it's a tax collecting opportunity. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, really. But they're not. We don't have a problem with speeding in the town itself. We've got a new.
But how can you shoot fish in a barrel if there's no speed?
Yeah, well, this is what I'm. We have a speed ramp. We have everything. Like that. There is no. My problem with it is that where the real deadly issues are happening are outside of these. Outside, they're in the 80-kilometre zones or in the 100-kilometre zones. It's not like we don't have an issue of people getting knocked down or people, speeding through the town recklessly. Like if they're catching somebody doing 52 in a 50 zone, it's hardly I don't know. I suppose it's breaking the rules, I know, but I don't think we have that issue anyway.
I
but
think
I
it's
just
the
feel that
absence of it on the places around the area, Micheál, not to put words in your mouth, that there are places that you would say, right, okay, you know what, if it was there, it might stop some fella, some girl going too quick around a corner and losing control of the vehicle. It's not saving any lives on Glentee's main
it's
street.
not saving lives. Exactly. And like he set up on New Year's Eve, he set up on New Year's Day, and you're just going, like, what are you trying? I don't know, what are you trying to prove? But again, like that, we have that whole new road from Glentees to Dunlow, a massive road. If you're out walking along that road on the walking path, the speeds that are going there definitely feel like they're very fast. Why is he not out there?
Yeah.
On that road to try and get people to slow on that road, as opposed to on the main street, where I don't know. It seems like a taunt nearly, but I don't like. You're going to get people that, like, I don't have penalty points, but my mother got penalty points driving from Glentees to Killybegs. She was driving the same speed in the 80 zone as she was, and then she went into over towards our drag, got penalty points, and you're kind of going, like, she wasn't driving recklessly anywhere along the way. But it's just like, and then you get somebody that knows there's a speed van, they're on Snapchat, they're on whatever, they're going to speed vans here, there, wherever. So they're driving recklessly and then slowing down when it gets to it. It's kind of defeating the purpose.
And I think too, Micheál, we hear this all around the county. I'm thinking of outside St. Patrick's Church in Donegal Town. Termon doesn't come up as much as it used to in the past. Glentees, there's a few other spots. It's not that people want to speed. It's not that people actually really don't want speed vans. It's how the resources are being used, and the public are the people out on the roads, and they're saying, look, all right, if someone is 2 kilometres over the 50, they shouldn't be, right? But if you've got a certain amount of resources to try and keep people safe, there's better ways to use those resources. Otherwise, it does look like a money-making exercise.
Exactly. Like, that's it. Put it places that you're actually going to save lives. Like, obviously nobody should be speeding anyway, like, it shouldn't be, but it's the case of even when they changed the speed limit from 100 down to 80, like, I've never seen speed vans out along the Fintown Letterkenny road where it was 100, and then when it dropped to 80, next thing there was a speed check there countless days. And you're going, like, that's you're kind of going, why are you doing it right now? Why did it suddenly happen now when it changed down to 80?
Yeah, it's a bit sus, isn't it? Yeah, and it's not good for PR too, and bringing the people with you with the road safety message. Sorry, Micheál, you were going to say there?
And and also in Glentees, like, they talk about safety and safety of pedestrians, but there's a junction at the bottom of the town where they added 3 bollards that people used to use as a turning point, and they stop people turning, and now for where my house is in the estate, the people are coming in. We get 20, 30, 40 cars a day coming in to turn around. Okay. Yeah, and you're kind of going, how is that making it any safer with kids in the estate? And it's not that, like, you can't let the kids out the front at all.
Yeah.
But there's, like, the first week it went up, I counted for the first few days, and there was 30 to 40 cars every single day turning, and they're making ridiculous turning manoeuvres now as well. They're reversing in off the main road, they're reversing back out onto the main road, and the council just don't seem to care. They're just like, it's there, it's the way it is, good luck to you. And I'm just waiting.
That's almost even more significant.
I've highlighted,
actually,
it's way more significant because the people are coming down out of the town, and then they're meeting people that are turning more dangerously than previously. So now I'm just waiting for the first accident, because I've already highlighted it to them, to the guards, and they've done nothing about it. They've just ignored it, just say that's the way it is, good luck to you.
All right, might chase that one up separately, actually, Micheál, because every action is a reaction, and pushing a problem into an area where kids are, and families and buggies and what have you are actually, moving about the place.
And all it takes is a child to step out,
God forbid,
as you're putting them into the van or into the car.
Micheál, listen, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for taking the call. I do appreciate it. That's Micheál Brennan there. I was reading a text verbatim, and I referred to Errigal Mountain as Mount Errigal. I generally try not to correct the texters because everyone uses their own language, but Oliver's corrected me, Of course, the Mount Errigal Hotel car park is tarred. Why wouldn't it be? Big, beautiful hotel. Yes, I'm talking about the car park at Errigal. But thank you for that. Thanks for all your texts and comments and calls and all of that kind of jazz. Join us again tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock. We'll kick things off with the Friday panel because it's the end of the week already.